right on that midcourt line. Now Butler has it up ahead, got numbers. Mitchell with the left hand scores.
Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
And this series is over. The first round is over. The home team finally gets a win. The Clippers advance. The stoic superstar, Kawhi Leonard, 28 points, 10 rebounds, 9 assists, and brilliant defense.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Birdie escapes, throws downfield, and intercepted. Kalen Barnes comes up with it. Their best cover corner has a broken thumb.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Here's a first down pass, deep for Julio Jones, and he's got it inside the 35-yard line.
Here's Paul Catalina and Craig Smoak.
Welcome in to SicEm365 Radio. Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak. David Smoak will be back tomorrow. Armstrong, Sims, Hayden Bumpus, Jack McKenzie all aboard this afternoon. And a pretty eventful weekend for the summer in sports. The Mavericks got eliminated. We'll have Chuck Cooperstein at 4 to talk about that. Big NFL trade, and Julio Jones headed to the Tennessee Titans. We'll have Buck Reesing from 104.5 The Zone in Nashville at 4:30 to talk about that. Mitch Thompson coming up at 3:30 to talk MCC's baseball winning the JUCO World Series. He's been on our show a bunch, and I'm sure we were the X factor that got them over the line and got them believing in themselves, Craig. And, of course, Grayson Gruenhaver recaps camp weekend, the first one that college sports have had in a long, long time. He'll be with us at 3:45. And the Lady Bears have a new assistant coach, Tony Greene. He will join us to talk about joining Nikki Collins' staff at 5 o'clock. But, Craig, kind of a lot this weekend for the first weekend and full weekend in June.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on, right? I mean, you've got Major League Baseball in full swing. NBA playoffs are in full swing. We knew camps were starting and just everything else going on. NHL still going on. So, yeah, it's been what you would want. I think, maybe we're reacting some kind of way to it because we weren't used to this last year. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think that's probably a big part of it because the calendar's really not different. I mean, this is what's supposed to be going on right now, but I think the lack of having any of it, like we didn't have a College World Series last year. We didn't have all these super regionals going on. We didn't have, live crowds at NBA games. We had the bubble. So, it's been nice to have all of these things that we're supposed to have and not be, counting all of the events that are being pushed back or canceled outright altogether.
Well, the Mavericks, talk about the Mavericks first off. Friday they lose, Sunday they lose. And, Friday I got the feeling that the balloon had been popped. And Brad Townsend kind of said that from the Dallas Morning News on Friday, Craig, that they really needed to close out the series and not go back to L.A. And then yesterday was just not. It was not their day, and their season is over, which is to be expected. But once again, the Mavericks kind of tease the fans. I wonder if next year they can build on this.
I don't know. They need to rebuild that roster is what they need to do. I'm not at all surprised by the outcome. I felt everybody jumped the gun in a massive way when they were up 2-0. And I understand why. I mean, to go win 2 games in Los Angeles and to be able to go back home and know that you were going to have, 18,000 people there or whatever. I was amongst those who was feeling good, but I was certainly, not in the category of like this series is over. And that's, again, why on, Friday I was kind of bemoaning all of that fake sports talk that Skip Bayless and guys like that do where they were, they were doing the typical formula, like Mavericks go up 2-0, let's talk about how the Clippers are like, the biggest underachievers and Kawhi can't do this. And that way we set ourselves up so when, the Clippers inevitably make some kind of a comeback because they weren't going to get swept, then, it can flip the, and it just keeps the conversation going. But it was just early on, big time overreaction. and the Clippers even the series. And, I still felt okay about the Mavericks' chances, and go up 3-2, felt pretty good about their chances, but I felt that they had to win on Friday. And when they didn't win on Friday, I did not feel good about yesterday, and that was for good reason. And I don't think a lot of Mavericks fans felt good about yesterday. But, yeah, I mean, they're not going to have a very long offseason because they're going to watch the Clippers continue to play and know that they should probably be playing instead and that they whiffed on that opportunity. And they need to stare in the mirror for a while after that one and figure out Mark Cuban, Rick Carlisle, what they're going to do moving forward, because Kristaps Porzingis is under contract for a while with big money. And he's overpaid. He's not what they thought he was going to be, or I don't know what he is, quite frankly. He's a frustration is what he is, mostly from Mavericks fans. But it's very clear Luka Doncic is like pretty much a one-man show. And, every once in a while a Tim Hardaway Jr. or a Kristaps or, somebody will make an impact. But for the most part, it's pretty much him. And that's all you can really count on game in and game out. And, look, he's not perfect either, whether it be from the free throw line or just the volume of shots that he takes. If he's not on, then they're in big trouble. And so Kristaps is supposed to be superstar number 2. And I think really they only have one right now. Mm-hmm. And they still need a couple more. And, maybe the Porzingis thing, they figure a way to make that work moving forward. But ultimately, it's not one guy. It's just that this team is short of talent around their incredible young superstar. And you don't want to waste a whole lot of time, even though he's only, 22, 23. You don't want to waste another 2-3 seasons of, let's just keep it the way it is. No, you got to strike while the iron's hot because you don't know what the future looks like in 5 years. So they need to go to the drawing board this summer, figure out how they're going to add talent around Luka Doncic, and go from there.
And I'll just give you this example. There was a time where Oklahoma City fans thought Kevin Durant will have gray hair and retire here and wave at us and smile. With rings and everything, because that's what Kevin Durant is going to bring to the city of Oklahoma City. That's what he's going to bring. That was their belief. And part of that was because Kevin Durant always said those things. Like, this is where I want to be. I love it here. This is my town. But ultimately, people's minds can change. As loyal as Luka is, and as loyal as he, I think, will be, kind of like Dirk was to the Mavericks, there comes a point in the modern NBA in which Luka might have to go, you know what? I'm going to go to this team that's going to offer me money because the Mavericks are stuck in second gear.
Well, I mean, that could happen, but that's not going to happen for a long time.
No, but I know that. But
I know what you're saying, but I'm not even worried about that, at all, because that's not anywhere in the immediate future. His contract's not anywhere close to coming up. They're not going to let it come up. So, I know what you mean, that a guy gets frustrated, but I don't think Luka has Kevin Durant tendencies. I think Kevin Durant, is kind of his own thing. I know that there's others. James Harden's bounced around from team to team, and that's kind of the NBA way. Maybe in 4 or 5 years that could be the case. I don't know, but ultimately, really, it is just about you have this guy. He's one of the top, arguably 5 players in the NBA, and I pause there just because I'm sure some would probably put him in the top 3 right now. I'm sure there's some crazies out there that feels like he's the best young player in the NBA. But, you can't argue that he's not a top 5 to 10 player right now in the league. And so you've got a jewel. You've got a diamond that's, newly discovered, and it's as shiny as it's ever going to be. And you just don't want that shine to dull. And he's, again, early 20s, but it was just glaringly obvious watching this series that he can't do it by himself and that he needs more than the help that he has around him. And, yesterday they're floating lineups out there that I don't even think we've seen all year. Just guys are playing minutes that have no business playing the minutes that they're playing. They were Paul, they were just trying to find something yesterday. It was obvious. Trey Burke's coming in for big minutes, and it's they just had no answer. And so I'm sure that was a long night, or maybe it was, I hope it was, a long night of lack of sleep for Rick Carlisle trying to figure out what he could have done better. But ultimately, you just got to tip your hat to the Clippers. I'm not surprised by the outcome, but I am, as a Mavericks fan, very intrigued by what they're going to do now, because they should have won that series. They could have argued that they could have won that series again last year. So that's 2 years in a row where you feel like you probably should have won that series that sent you home. So, how long are you going to keep letting that happen? And, how long are you going to, have Luke out there playing major minutes, being like 95% of everything that you do statistically, and having little to no help around him in most cases. So that's not to say they don't have guys that can contribute on occasion, like a Tim Hardaway Jr. or Porzingis even at times, not really this postseason, and others, but I mean, you got Maxi Kleber out there looking, and then Trey Burke, and they have a big man whose name's escaping me, John Wick. Boban. Okay, Boban. I mean, he's playing way more minutes than he's played in like his entire career. I think I heard Followell say that's the most minutes he's played, the second, or is either the second most or the most minutes he's played ever in a game. Boban yesterday. Why yesterday? Because they had no freaking answer for anything. They had nothing to. They had no answer. They were just scrambling, trying to find something that would work because what they started out with didn't work, and they were just they're flailing. And there's a lot to figure out on the Mavericks side of things.
Yeah, they're going to have a very, very, very interesting offseason. Craig, I'm gonna bring this up in the first segment of the show because I've been very curious as to the reaction of it all weekend. I guess all weekend, but since it happened, and we'll talk about this in the top 5, and I'm sure a couple times throughout the show today. But this Logan Paul Floyd Mayweather thing, you're a big combative sports fan, a boxing guy, a UFC guy. I could not bring myself to have any enthusiasm for this. Like, what am I supposed to think of it? Anything at all?
I don't know. I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You're supposed to be attracted by the circus side of things, and that's all it really was a circus, a sideshow act. I'm not the Vine, YouTube superstar, Twitch star, whatever generation that they've all grown up becoming obsessed with these people who post videos for a living. And most of the time, just really dumb videos at that. I'm like a generation older than that, so I don't get the whole TikTok thing. I've never downloaded TikTok. I never will. I mess around on like certain apps on occasion, but like I don't even have an Instagram. I don't have a Facebook. I have Twitter. That's pretty much it at this point. So I've never been one super into these internet celebs. I know all about the Paul brothers. I've seen their antics over the years. There's a slice of people out there that get a lot of entertainment out of them. I'm not one of them. I respect, their hustle, but they don't entertain me. But this little boxing venture they've both been on, fighting tomato cans, it's been, pretty simple to figure out. They're fighting tomato cans. They're fighting under rules that are favorable to them. And they're getting people's interest. And there's a lot of people out there with a lot of cash, apparently, that they can spend. And I guarantee that pay-per-view was highly successful because it was trending all night on Twitter. It had like 250,000 tweets or something. So I guarantee it was successful just because people, like with Mayweather and McGregor, are interested by like the sideshow act, the freak show act. And that's what I kind of attribute this to. But I wasn't going to waste money on that fight. And I could tell what happened just by reading recaps of it. It was, it was not a fight that even had a winner. And they said that going in. So to me alone, seeing those two box and maybe trying or maybe not trying wasn't going to make me pull my wallet out. But, they pulled the event off. And I guess, Paul looked decent. He was much bigger than Mayweather, obviously. He took a couple shots and kept standing. And, he landed a couple on Floyd. And so they did what they did. And, I don't think anything really changes other than the pocketbooks for Mayweather and Paul, but that's about it because you couldn't have been satisfied watching that last night. There was no winner. There was no multiple. They had multiple rounds, but it wasn't like a real boxing fight. It was like a shortened boxing exhibition. And so if I'm paying big pay-per-view price tag, I want somebody named a winner afterwards. I want like a real contest, not an exhibition. So no, I did not pay attention. I did not buy that, but I did, pay attention to some of the reactions to it.
Yeah, I have no respect for Floyd Mayweather as a human being.
As a human being, no. I respect the hustle, but the personality, no.
But yeah, he's done a lot of bad stuff in his life, and he's one of the highest paid, if not the highest paid athlete when he was completely active, making tons of money. He's 50 years old. He's 50-0, and of those 50 fights, I'm sure, as the great boxing matches of all time go, none of them rank as far as drama because he was the defensive fighter. Like that was his thing. He was always, I remember I watched him and Pacquiao. It was the only fight I ever watched of them. And it took forever to get that one to happen. And that was boring.
Floyd is a fighter's fighter. And if you're not appreciative of boxing styles and defensive fighting and things like that. I remember I watched a Floyd fight. I was bored out of my mind. I don't even remember which one it was. It doesn't really matter because they were all pretty much the same. And I made a comment on the air, and this is like a couple years ago or something, and some guy said, well, you just don't know boxing and all that, and that's very well true. But I'm just telling you, a boxing guy, as a casual fan of which your sport really needs that, and that's why we have fights like Mayweather and Paul, not because boxing's healthy, but because boxing is such a non-factor in most people's minds outside of about 5 guys that the biggest boxing fights over the last few years in most cases haven't even featured 2 boxers fighting.
Yeah.
So what does that tell you about the health of the sport? So tell me all you want, boxing fanatic, about not knowing what I know about Mayweather. I respect the hell out of Mayweather, but I can still be impressed by him and think that he's boring. I don't know what it was like last night. Again, I didn't watch, but I like winners and losers for a sporting event, not an exhibition. So no, I did not pay that. Whatever I don't even know what the pay-per-view cost. Like, I'm not even sure what it cost. Did any of you guys order it? No interest. No. I mean, and they're younger than me, and they would know a lot more about Jake and Logan Paul than I do. So,
but by the way, if you do want to subscribe to stupid videos on YouTube, right here.
Yeah.
Sic'em365.
Subscribe to stupid YouTube videos from Sic'em365. That's what you should do.
Yeah.
And you can just pop that to subscribe on YouTube. No problem.
Do it.
But no, I mean, it got a lot of attention, and I'm sure it'll be successful, and I'm sure it'll lead to, a rematch or some other fight. I know that there's plenty of UFC fighters that need a paycheck nowadays because their fighting career is pretty much over, that they'll be the next guy that'll want to step in for, a few $1 million. And Daniel Cormier has already, tried to wade into those waters with one of the Pauls. I forget who it was. And I think there's been a couple of other guys. We'll see. But, if you enjoyed it, I'm not knocking it if you enjoyed it. I'm just saying it wasn't my thing, and I wasn't going to pay for it.
Yeah. What it reminds him of is these guys like Floyd Mayweather and these older boxers fighting the YouTube star. It's, to me, and this is actually much more noble in that regard, but, what the MLS was and is slowly changing out of, but what the MLS was for a long time when they would get a big European soccer star, it was when the guy was like 36 years old. Mm-hmm. Like when David Beckham came to play for the LA Galaxy, he wasn't the David Beckham
right.
It wasn't the same. I mean, but he was the name, No,
he used MLS to extend his career because he was never going to come to MLS when he mattered because the real money was in the Premier League. So, all these former European soccer stars come over to the MLS and they're like 35 and on the downside of their career to make a few extra bucks, and they get paid probably better than most because they do have a name coming in, but ultimately they're not what they normally would be, and that's why they're not in Europe anymore. So like the MLS is like, hey, great, David Beckham's coming over. Yeah, but it's like 35-year-old David Beckham, which is like borderline retirement agent soccer. It's this, I keep talking about it like a sideshow thing. That's what it was. It was like Mayweather-McGregor, except for Mayweather-McGregor was a little bit more serious because they actually did like the whole rounds and, had an outcome, and Mayweather won that fight. He beat Conor McGregor. Last night was just, a few rounds of an exhibition, and there was no winner, and it didn't affect Floyd's record either way. And that was one thing. I mean, the guys are 2 completely different sizes, but I wasn't going to pay to watch a fight that Mayweather could easily lose and yet not lose. You know what I mean? Like, what if he would have gotten knocked out, but it wouldn't have mattered?
Doesn't count.
It doesn't count. So why am I watching? Like, I mean, other than just the curiosity, but I'm not, like I said, interested enough in the Paul brothers to be that curious.
It's the plot of Rocky Balboa, but less inspiring. That's what it was. I mean, that's what that was. If you had a less inspiring version of that movie. 254-339-1122. Mitch Thompson in our next segment. And Craig, we've had Mitch on a bunch. That run to win 23 games in a row to end the season, not lose in the JUCO World Series, that's unbelievable. That's a tough athletic feat to pull. Baseball, a 6-game winning streak in baseball is unbelievable because you play so much. It's unreal what they did to bring that home. First time since 1983. Very excited for Mitch Thompson, who has certainly earned it, and just one of the great guys in coaching. And I can't wait to talk to him here in about 10 minutes. About that, and that's coming up on the show. And again, I haven't talked about, and I don't know much about him other than what's in the press release, but he was at Marquette. Tony Greene, the new Lady Bears assistant coach. We got some word that there was going to be some movement on that front over the weekend. I believe he had to just talk to the Marquette players and let them know where he was going. But Tony Greene comes to Baylor from Marquette to join Nicky Collins' staff. And that is slowly starting to piece together. He was assistant coach, 27 years of experience as a collegiate coach. In his only season at Marquette, he helped guide the Golden Eagles to a 19-7 record, a Big East tournament title appearance. So he was only there for a year. So curious to see where they kind of cross paths and where he and Nicky Collins, went on down the road. But that's another new addition to the Lady Bears staff.
Yeah, good to see Nicky Collins rounding out her staff and Tony Greene coming on board. Don't know much about him, like you said, but seems to have a pretty thorough resume. He's been at quite a few places, which should help him in having some connections and being, familiar with different parts of the country. But we've been waiting for another announcement. It's been quite a while since she had announced Tari Cummings, and so you've got him and Michael Mata. You've got a couple of others she's announced as well. So, yeah, slowly but surely coming together, and good to have another piece fall and hopefully be pretty close to just being able to, walk into the office and have all the desks checked out and filled and be able to just get to actual basketball work, which I'm sure she's, mixing in with her hiring duties. But the hiring is, kind of a hiccup right now and just being able to focus purely on basketball. So once she knocks that out and get to recruiting and doing all those things, it'll be great. So, yeah, nice to see another announcement today, which we were expecting.
All right, when we come back, Mitch Thompson, MCC baseball head coach, on their win in the JUCO World Series. This is SicEm365 Radio.
Allen Samuels is celebrating Jeep Freedom Days. It's an exciting time for the Jeep Cherokee and the new Grand Cherokee. Built tough as nails and able to stand up to any challenging off-road trails or city roads, travel with the innovative technology to meet your lifestyle. Jeep, a great SUV. Allen Samuels, the award-winning customer service Central Texas dealer, the best place to get your next SUV. Located at 201 West Loop 340 or visit them online at AllenSamuelsDCJ.com. Allen Samuels is your friend in the car business.
Come by, let's be friends.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financials, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Engel with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The SicEm365 Radio Live Guest VIP Hotline is sponsored by Stonewood Dental. We are all in this together.
We'll have Mitch Thompson here in a couple minutes. I called him and went right to voicemail. Listen, when you're a national champion, things get busy. So
yeah, I could imagine they do. Yeah, they got home yesterday. I saw there was a nice group of people waiting for them back home, the Bosky boys, as they call themselves. And the Bosky boys got back to town after that great weekend, and they are national champs, first time since 1983. So big congratulations to Mitch Thompson, who we'll talk to in a second. And didn't really have to sweat too much. I mean, they won 15-5 on Thursday, and we had talked to them at the end of last week. But then on Friday, as we had previewed, they just needed to win one game. They had the ability to lose one and still be alive because of the way that they started, but they didn't need that one gimme loss. They just went ahead and went undefeated the whole way, and beat Central Arizona 7-3 to take home the title. So glad they made it back home safe, and glad that they were able to cap off their goals, and glad they were able to bring a championship back to Central Texas. So if you look at it, I mean, Baylor men win the first basketball title in school history this year. MCC wins their first baseball title since 1983. And I know there's been plenty of other, accomplishments across the board, high school, college, whatever, but a pretty good year for Waco in general as far as just 2 national titles coming home. And then, you can always include A&T, and there's been a lot of other successes, as I mentioned. So, pretty cool stuff.
All right, well, we'll just go right into it because he just called me back. Mitch Thompson, MCC baseball coach, joins us now. I'm sorry, let me redo that interview. National champion Mitch Thompson of the McLennan Highlanders joins us now. Mitch, you have had to make that bus drive back from Colorado when you didn't win it. How different was it this time around?
Well, it went a lot faster. It went a lot faster. It was a lot happier, and I think there are 2 reasons it went faster. Number one is we had the trophy sitting right next to us. That was cool. And number 2 is I had 700 text messages that I was trying to answer. That made the time pass really fast. My fingers are sore, but it worked out great.
Coach, I mean, you guys have been chopping wood. You guys have been close, but you've reached the mountaintop. MCC is the national champions. You're back in Waco, like I was just mentioning a second ago. Glad to see you guys arrive back home safely. Just how's it feel? How's it feel to have accomplished what you've worked so hard to accomplish?
Well, it's awesome. I mean, I'm so happy for the kids and for our coaches. I'm happy for the school. I've been doing this for 31 years. First time that I've won a championship, and I can be honest with you, in 15 when we finished second, I actually said to myself, I said, "Gosh, I hope that's not the only chance that you ever have." Because number one, getting to the World Series is difficult, and it's hard. It's a challenge. Every year it's a challenge. But then to win it is taking it another step. To be in that game to win it's a step. So we're very blessed. I mean, God's blessed all of us richly on this deal, and I'm thankful for the opportunities that He's given us. But it's pretty cool. I'm hearing from so many friends and so many people. I've probably heard from 50 to 100 of my former Baylor players. I'm hearing from so many of my former McLennan players and their families, and McLennan people from the past. I mean, Jay Buhner reached out. And, there's just so many people that this is touching, and it's kind of surreal, but it's really cool.
The game was tight for most of it, Mitch. That I know you're probably white knuckling it there in the dugout going to the 8th inning. What did that 8th inning allow you to do, especially going into the 9th, where it was do or die for Central Arizona?
I'll be honest with you. I don't think, and this is kind of interesting to say, but I don't think anybody in our dugout was white knuckling it the entire ball game. That game went so fast. It was, to me, we went through 7 innings so quickly, and it was 2-1, and we were all very confident in Logan on the mound. I was confident, hey, we're going to get the hits when we start happening. We just got to get this starter out of the game. And sure enough, that's kind of what happened when we got him out of the game. Things kind of opened up a little bit for us. But, all of a sudden we got through 7 innings, and now it's the top of the 8th, and we've got a 2-1 lead. And I kind of looked up and went, wow, we got 6 outs to get. Usually I look up a little earlier than that, maybe the 6th inning or something where you're going, hey, oh my God, 12 innings or 12 outs left. There's a lot of game to go. But, it got to the 8th and it became kind of real, and all of a sudden we opened it up, and it was, I think it probably did more to the other team to say, oh my gosh, now the challenge is really huge for them to overcome it.
Coach, why this group? Why was this the group of Bosque boys that were able to win that first title in so many years? You've had, like you said, teams that have knocked on the door. You've had teams that have been to Grand Junction. What was it about these guys that were able to not only do it, but do it with an incredible win streak and do it without even a blemish in Grand Junction?
I need to really try and concentrate and figure it out. I don't think that it's anything magic. I think it has to do with all of the players and all of the coaches that we have. The chemistry's there. I think you win these you win these type things once you've been there before, once you know a little bit more what to expect. But I look at our ball club and the way that we're playing, and I kept telling this team, we were having to fight. We had to fight earlier in the year, man. I mean, we were fighting to get our head above water. We're 10-11, and we kept talking to this team that we've got to play better, and we're so capable of it. Let's all get on the same page. And finally, when they all did, and it all clicked, it was like, it was just. I remember telling the guys after our last loss, when we did take a loss against Weatherford, I told them, I said, we are done losing. We are finished with losing. It is over. No more losing. Done. And I'll be dadgum, 23 in a row. So from here on out, I'm going to start every year off with that very same speech. But no, I mean, and it's been awesome because the guys have really stayed focused one game at a time, and it's been so much fun to be around them. The chemistry is incredible. They love each other, and they're very unselfish. I'll tell you that. We had several guys who played a lot during the year because of an injury or something else that kind of set them back a little bit, and then somebody else kind of stepped into that role and took it. We had a lot of guys who wanted to be out on that field, who probably deserved to be out on that field, but because of situations, they weren't. They were in the dugout waiting their turn again, and they handled it like champions, and I couldn't be more proud of them for that.
I just wanted to make mention because you did have that long win streak, and you obviously won out in Grand Junction, but when you were at one point 10-11, that means you guys went 37-5 the rest of the way. 37-5.
And that's kind of what we told them. I mean, I remember telling them, I said, when we all get on the same page and we all start clicking, we're gonna rattle off 20 in a row, boys. And I kept telling them that and kept selling it, and I believed it, every bit of it. I believed it. I think that some people can be shocked that we got to this point. I'm not shocked. I knew it was in this group, and I knew, and our coaches knew it was in the group. We just had to all get on the same page and everybody start pulling in the exact same direction. And it was funny as it kind of came together. Okay, here's 4 in a row. 6, 8, 10. And all of a sudden the guys they feel a little bit invincible. I mean, we went 10-0 in the postseason, guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Pretty crazy.
And we just pulled up our stats from those 10 games. And I mean, incredible. I mean, we hit like 360 or something, and our ERA was like 3.5. I mean, scoring 10, 11 runs a game. It's like you're gonna have a hard time beating us when we're all clicking like that. So it was a lot of fun.
Logan Henderson had 17 strikeouts on Friday night. And what do you say to a pitcher when they're dealing like that, if anything? Do you say, good job? Do you look him in the eye? Or do you just let him go to the dugout and keep in his, like in his bubble?
No, I mean, he comes in and he'd sit down with Coach Lev and they talk about what's coming ahead and, Lev, hey, how you feel? Lev's asking him how he feels. And, I didn't say boo to him. Just had a baby. Keep, I wasn't going to. And I actually went to Coach Lev and I said, hey, because we take such good care of our pitchers over the course of the year. I mean, I think you could probably count on maybe 2 or 3 fingers the number of times we ever let a guy go over 100 pitches. But I did go to Lev about 6th inning of that game and said, where's he at pitch wise? He told me, and I said, today, if he keeps throwing the way he is, we're going up to 130 before we get him out. And that was, he was ended up, his last pitch was 118. So, we didn't quite there, but what a competitor, what a great kid, what a great teammate. The success that he has earned is 100% his and Coach Lev and Coach Starks working with him. And I'm just so excited for that kid.
You have won titles. You won multiple conference titles. You've won all sorts of big games. But to see your players after the thrill of winning a national championship, was that a little bit different than some of the other celebrations?
Yeah, when we won the regional, the super regional, I had told the guys, I said, hey, we're staying on our feet. Nobody's going, there's no dog pile. There's no falling to the ground, none of that. And really, I told them that for selfish reasons, that I don't want anybody getting hurt on the bottom of that son of a gun.
Right.
We got games to play. I said, we dogpile in Grand Junction on the mound. And at the end of the day, there's no way you're keeping them from dogpile there. And I want them to dogpile there. I just, you just don't want to see anybody separate a shoulder or something like that. Suffocate to death. And some of them learned real quickly, the bottom of that dog pile is no fun. It's the top part that's a lot more fun.
Yeah, no kidding.
Hopefully we can do it. Hopefully we can do it again and again, and you'll see everybody kind of waiting around until the dog pile forms before they jump on it.
Yeah, you'll know who was there before. You'll know who learned from the last time. Yeah,
that's right.
Mitch, obviously you had some guys that before the season even happened, they were going to go to another level, whether it be, a D1 college or to the league or wherever. How much does the World Series run help those guys who were maybe on the cusp or hadn't been seen just yet?
Well, I think it ought to help. One of the things that's a struggle with some of our guys that don't have their plans made yet has nothing to do about their talent level or their ability. It has everything to do with the COVID backlog of players at the Division I level. Mm-hmm. And everybody's gotten an extra year of eligibility, and then with the Major League Draft being shortened up as much as it was last year and again this year, it's just kind of a backlog of players. And so for some of them, it probably has opened up some doors and some opportunities, and those opportunities may come, even in July when the draft does happen this year. But the other thing that hurts is that we didn't have a single Division I coach show up to any of our games all year long. They couldn't get out.
Wow.
And if you can't get out and see a kid in person, it's tough. We've got as good a video system as anybody, and we send out videos to the whole world. And it's just a backlog of players and pulling trigger on video rather than seeing them in person. They see them in person, they'll know what kind of baseball players they are, because these guys can play. And we're going to go to work and get them where they need to be. And if some of them need to come back here next year, then we'll bring them back here and we'll go try and do it again.
Coach, given that this wasn't possible last year, and this was all cross sports around this time last year, but how do you feel about just the way the season was conducted and held, and all of the cooperation and working together to make this actually occur? Do you feel like it went off pretty well in the long run?
No question. I mean, I'm so proud of our guys. I think that they handled themselves great. I'm proud of our school and how they, our administration, how they set it up, and how we were trying to take care of them through the COVID protocols and how to do things. But our guys our guys did a fantastic job with it all along, because we just, we didn't have a single case.
Wow.
Not one. And so, what you find out then is that they're pretty disciplined. They're pretty focused on what they're doing. And maybe they all had it, in the fall and wintertime, whatever, and didn't even know it. But we didn't have a single case that we had to deal with. And so our protocols worked, and our guys took care of their business and kept important things important.
Well, Mitch, thanks for jumping on with us. Congratulations. It's been a long time coming for MCC and for you and everyone involved. And, we're just so happy and proud of you guys that able to do it and enjoy it. I'm glad you got some sleep. I hope you're back. I know it's just 1 hour, but I hope you're back on Central Time now and you can feel normal again. So
breathing okay?
We're definitely back on Central Time, and we're going to be doing a few things. We're going to have a community-wide celebration tomorrow night, which will be neat. That's going to be at the backyard, and we hope to see a lot of folks out there for that. And then these guys are going to be making their way home for the summer, or where they're going to play summer ball and doing their own things. And but we're sure appreciative of you guys and the support, and that you guys have given us the opportunity to come talk with you. And I'm just blessed with these kids, and Waco should be very proud of them. Our county should be very proud of them. These are fantastic kids, that's it. So I appreciate you.
Well, Mitch, I'll speak for Waco. We're proud of them. We are absolutely proud of them.
I know they are. Yeah. I know they are.
Yeah.
And I guess what I'm saying, if they haven't met them, then they don't know what they've missed, because these are winners on and off the field. These kids are going to be great husbands and fathers, and there's a lot of success to be had for these guys as they continue on in their lives. We're blessed to have had them here. So thank you.
All right, Mitch, talk to you soon.
Congrats, Coach.
All right. Thank you. That's Mitch Thompson. And awesome. What an awesome story. Mm-hmm. What'd you say, 37-5 down the stretch?
Yeah, they were at one point 10-11. They went 37-5, and including a long win streak, including being unbeaten in Grand Junction, including being unbeaten in the postseason. So pretty cool. And he mentioned that celebration that'll be tomorrow from 5:30 to 7. So he mentioned, if you haven't met these young men, these national champion young men on this MCC baseball team, you can do that at the backyard tomorrow from 5:30 to 7. They will have a celebration for these guys. I know there was a good turnout, or at least it appeared on camera as though it was a good turnout when they arrived back on the buses yesterday from Grand Junction. So imagine some of those people who turned out will turn up at the backyard as well. But you can join them tomorrow from 5:30 to 7 and congratulate MCC on their national championship. First since '83, I believe, is the year. And it's cool that he said Jay Buhner reached out. And I know that I certainly saw a lot of activity on social media from MCC fans, a lot more than I expected, when retweeted the national championship win. And I think, the school account has something like 2,000 retweets or 2,000 likes or something like that, which is a pretty good number for MCC. So, yeah, there's a lot of people that were excited, and a lot of former, students or players at MCC that were amped up as well. So very happy for them. Incredibly happy for Mitch Thompson to finally reach the mountaintop.
Yeah, absolutely. When we come back, Grayson Grunde bonus segment as he recaps the first weekend of camps in over a year. This is SicEm365 Radio.
I hate my job, but I don't mind getting up in the morning. I dread each day, but I can't wait to get out of bed. You ask me why, and what I'll say to you is true. Well, you can get breakfast tacos at Rudy's Barbecue. Scrambled eggs and brisket, they ain't fooling around. Sausage wrap, son, they're the best in town. Barbecue for breakfast, yes, it's true. Put a smile on your morning at Rudy's Barbecue. Next in line.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm, welcome home.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Travel is back. Hit the road with big savings during the summer savings event at Richard Carr. The road is waiting. Explore America again in the space, safety, and luxury of a Buick SUV. And during the Richard Carr summer savings event, current Buick or GMC owners get 16% off a new 2021 Buick Encore, 13% on Encore GX, 9% on midsize Buick Envision, or 13% on a full-size Buick Enclave. Summer travel is back at the summer savings event going on now at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Grayson Grundhafer of SicEm365.com. Brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
Welcome back into SicEm365 Radio. Bonus segment this week to start off the week from Grayson Grundhafer of SicEm365.com. Grayson, so camps, I said before the break for the first time in over a year, which is technically true, but it's for the first time in 2 years, isn't it? How different was it for the coaches to get back into this?
Yeah, I mean, 2019 was the last time that they had camps, the summer of 2019, at least the school camps. They've had, a couple of Elite 11 and the opening and things like that. But obviously this is a totally different ballgame because the coaches get to see these kids on campus and, you're not allowed to go to these camps, the Elite 11 and type stuff. They just get filmed. So getting to see people in person and actually coach up these players, the coaches are out there, the players are out there, getting a feel for who they are as people. While also, of course, getting the testing and the athletics. I mean, it's just huge. I can't really overstate it because it's such a big deal. And, I mean, you're seeing it. I mean, all the offers that have gone out over the last, 11 days, I guess, since June started, or 7 days, I guess. So it's been a huge deal for a lot of kids that were kind of under the radar. Now they're squarely on everybody's radar.
So tell us some of the differences in personalities or maybe some of the things that you noticed that you can't get from a post-game press conference or a 10-minute media session from some of these assistant coaches. What are some of the intricacies that you noticed in watching Dave Aranda and his staff work with all these high school players?
Yeah, that's one of the coolest things for sure. Like you mentioned, Craig, I mean, getting to see exactly what these guys do with these players, getting to see what they like from different positions, whether linebackers with Ron Roberts, whether it's safeties with Matt Powers or defensive line with Dennis Johnson. They just do a really, really good job of just talking to these players. And so I guess the thoughts that I have. So Dennis Johnson, for instance, he comes across as a very quiet guy, right? I mean, when you've had those media conferences with him, getting to meet him, he seems very quiet, but then you see him at this camp setting, and I mean, he's on kids, he's coaching them, he's loud, he's wanting to bring the excitement, having, players run through the drill and then run back to the line. I mean, that was a huge thing for him during this first camp setting. So he was one that definitely stood out to me. I would say Dave Aranda, of course, making his rounds, going around to every position, trying to talk to as many players as possible because, they only offered 5 guys from this camp, but there's probably a handful of guys that Baylor still wants to get to know. And you want to keep building those relationships because you just never know how a player's going to develop. And Dave Aranda really, I mean, you just saw him kind of going everywhere, talking to all kinds of players. And then, the obvious ones, guys, Sean Bell, Joey McGuire. I mean, seeing those guys bring the energy and really, I mean, they just seem like they know everyone at these camps. It's really, really impressive to see.
Which one? I mean, I know you did a group of interviews that you can see in the premium section of our sites. Who stuck out at you as someone who they're really I mean, you mentioned 5 guys that they offered, but like really, really fits or something they're really going after?
I mean, that's a good one because they obviously, they liked quite a few kids, and so put out a few offers. I'm gonna actually go with an interesting one because obviously the emphasis right now is the 2022 class, and so Ennis Sledge, he's a nose tackle, 6'4", 300. I didn't actually get to talk to him at camp, but the cool part about him is that I've been talking to him since the football season, since like November. I've been talking to Sledge, and he's out of Louisiana, a kid that was pretty hidden for a while. He's got 19 offers now, but all pretty much group of 5. And then he got the Baylor offer. And so it was a huge deal to him. You could just tell the excitement when I talked to him after the camp when he was heading up to Dallas. I believe he was going to camp in the SMU mega camp. But I talked to him for a little bit and got to kind of get a feel for where he's at in his recruitment. I just remember back in November, he told me Baylor was his dream school. And, when you get an offer from your dream school, it's a huge deal. I think he'll probably be making a decision here at the end of the month probably. And he's a guy to definitely keep an eye on. I mean, Baylor's built a really good relationship with him, finally offered once they got him at camp. And he had all kinds of good things to say about the Baylor coaching staff and just the job they've done building a relationship with him, even before offering at the camp. And of course they got their eyes on him and decided to go ahead and offer him, and he couldn't be happier.
So, Grayson, I did notice, it's been kind of few and far between with offers to Central Texas players, and by Central Texas, I mean like greater Waco area. Matt Rule maybe had a couple here and there, but it was kind of light pickings as far as that went. We know Bryles really hit up Midway quite a bit, and we go down to Killeen on occasion. But there's a couple offers this weekend to local guys. I know there's a young man out of Killeen that picked up an offer, I believe, but also class of 2023, and I'm not trying to butcher his name here, but Darian Gillette out of Marlin. And that made my eyebrows raise just because it's not often that Marlin has, somebody that Baylor might be interested in. So what is it about this young man that they were so intrigued by?
Yeah, so really cool. Those 2 offers, of course, really cool to see. Like you mentioned, the Central Texas area, you want to have good relationships. You also want to put out some offers in the area just because, Baylor's in such a good location to do that. So I actually made the mistake of saying, to Darian, when I got to talk to him at the studio, I told him, there must not be a lot of D1 athletes at Marlin. You must be one of the first. And he laughed and he was like, no, I mean, we got like 6 Division I athletes. So I might need to go do some fact checking because I had no idea that they put out that kind of talent in various sports. But Darian Gillette, he's a guy who came to camp. He plays basketball and football, just looks like a really, really good athlete. And he started at tight end when he got to the Baylor camp. That's where he was running at first. And then the Baylor staff moved him to linebacker. And that's probably the position he's going to play at the next level. His frame is perfect for it. He seems like he's right around 6'3", maybe 220. as a 2023 kid, really, really impressive. So he's one who I think is just going to continue to blow up. He's going to Alabama in the next week, I believe. So, I mean, he gets an offer from Alabama, and you can expect him to be a high-level national recruit. I'm not sure if he'll get the offer right now, but I do think he's a guy who has the ability to possibly be an Alabama-type offer. That's just the talent that I got to see when I was at camp. He went through drills with Ron Roberts and a bunch of the other staff, kind of talking individually with the staff as well. And, he's going to be a priority in the 2023 class. So, definitely one to watch. And, of course, Devontae Tizino as well out of Colleen Ellison. 6'5", 261 pounds. And he flashed the athleticism that he showed. I think he's going to be a real force for Ellison this next year.
Grayson, anything else that we haven't covered yet that people may want to know before checking out all your stuff on the premium section?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I just want to reiterate that this camp, guys, it had 125 kids, which, really isn't a lot. And as things progress, I think the camps are going to get bigger. You're probably going to see more offers. But just the fact that they had 5 offers at a camp that only had 125 kids attending, that speaks volumes. So when they have the 300-person camp, like I believe they will this weekend, I think you're going to see even more offers go out. I think you're going to see a lot of talent arrive on the Baylor campus over the next few weeks. Of course, they have camp the 12th and the 19th, and then they also have a camp July 31st. So still plenty of camps left for Baylor to put out even more offers and find some more hidden talent.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that, Grayson. How much do they have to be calculated as far as when they host these things? Because you mentioned that SMU mega camp, and I was wondering myself, like, well, gosh, I'm sure some of these guys drove up from Waco to Dallas, but because everybody was locked out. Like normally, you'd have a little bit more time to sort of space things out perhaps, but because everybody's trying to get back into doing camps, does that make it logistically a little bit harder? Do you have to be more calculated with like when and where and how you host these things?
See, I think it's one of those things where it's kind of a free-for-all right now. So I don't even know that they're doing much calculation with when they're doing these camps. You know what I mean? I think it's just one of those things where they almost just have to be like, hey, we're having a camp this weekend. Hope that, players want to come to their camp and will not go to some other camps in order to go. And I think that's kind of what they're doing, especially since they decided to use weekend spots, whereas some camps, some teams, I believe, are having camps during the week. So that's kind of a weird dynamic there. But, like you said, with this wave of just kids getting on campuses, it's really, really hard to structure anything to make sure you get kids on campus. So I think that's kind of what they're working against. But I also think they're going to have plenty of interest. It's Baylor, and it's the state of Texas. So they're going to be able to get kids on campus. And there's plenty of kids in Texas that are still hidden that Baylor will try to find throughout the process.
Grayson Greene for SicEm365.com. If you have not already, sign up for the premium section so you can see all the stuff that he did this weekend with the recruits. Grayson, we'll talk to you on Friday.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Grayson Greene for SicEm365.com. With us next up, Chuck Cooperstein wraps up the Mavericks season. This is SicEm365 Radio.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive at 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobbettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasoning, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Green by Kleba, down to 10, down to 8, down to 7, on the drive, to the rim of the dunk! Oh, what a dunk by Doncic with a foul and a chance at a three-point play! Spectacular stuff from Luka Doncic!
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house. Here's Paul Catalina and Craig Smoak.
David Smoak rejoins us tomorrow, but you heard the voice in the highlight, unmistakably Chuck Cooperstein, voice of the Mavericks. That highlight, not from this weekend, it was just a really good highlight, and I wanted to play Coop's voice because it's so awesome. Coop joins us now, and Chuck, this weekend, obviously, you know, every which way but loose did not go the Mavericks' way. Your thoughts on how it kind of played out from Friday to Sunday, and where the Mavs sit as they head into the offseason, you know, going forward?
Well, they had a great opportunity on Friday. I mean, they had a 9-point lead in the second quarter. They had a 7-point lead in the third quarter. They had the lead early in the fourth quarter. But you know, their shooting just left them when it was needed most. And obviously, the fact that, and you saw it in Game 7, that Rick Carlisle had absolutely no faith in his bench at all, and threw Luka out there for 45 minutes, the most minutes he's ever played in an NBA game. And, you know, one might say, well, it's Game 7, he should be playing that many minutes. But really, I mean, all year long, again, he's not played that many minutes, and they've tried to and have had success, you know, giving him the break at the start of the second quarter, bring him back midway through the quarter and what have you. Okay, that break's going to be a little bit shorter in the playoffs, but it was disappointing. I mean, let's face it, they had a chance to win the series. It was in their hands. But ultimately, you know, this series was decided in Game 3. This series was decided when the Mavericks had a 30-11 lead, 4.5 minutes to play. And, of course, at that point, Rick took Luka out after they got the big lead, thought he could buy some time, and it wound up blowing up in their face. And I think, it's really the bigger picture is the Mavericks need more help for Luka. But the smaller picture is that the bench just came up so small, really, after game 2. Brunson had a good game 1. Richardson had a good game 2. But after and Powell, I guess, had a very good game 5. But on top of that was it. Those are the 3 performances. And the fact that you had one in each game as opposed to it all happening together just speaks volumes about why the Mavericks are not in Salt Lake City today, getting ready to play game 1 tomorrow night.
Chuck, did it feel like Carlisle was just trying to find an answer yesterday? I know there were a lot of guys, as you mentioned, they were playing more minutes than they were, normally playing. It felt like they were just kind of trying to throw something at the wall and let it stick, or did you see it differently?
Well, playing Trey Burke in place of Richardson was shocking to me, given that he had not played at all in the series, but Richardson had just not been a factor. So I guess he was looking for something or anything. But Trey Burke is not unlike Tim Hardaway in that if he's not making shots, it's very difficult to keep him on the floor. And unfortunately, he didn't make either of his shots. He took 2 really bad ones in the third quarter in the midst of that 24-4 run that ended the quarter and gave the Clippers the 15-point lead. But, he stayed with the zone, and people will rip him for staying with the zone. I really don't have that much of a problem with it because clearly the Mavericks could not guard in a straight man-to-man. The Clippers were having a conga line to the basket. They went to the zone. They took that away. And for 2.5 games, really the Clippers could not do anything with it. And then in Game 7, they did do something with it. Now, should you, if you're Rick Carlisle, say, oh, God, they're killing us here. Maybe we should try a little man-to-man at some point. But, at that point, once the Clippers started making shots, they were pretty well cooked defensively. It just didn't have an answer, and especially didn't have an answer for Leonard.
Going forward with Kristaps Porzingis, do they need to find someone that can allow, not necessarily, force him to do something he's not, capable or wanting to do? They need to find somebody that can maybe let him move out to a different position so he can be more of the Kristaps Porzingis that he feels comfortable with?
Well, the thing is, he feels comfortable posting up, and the numbers just don't support him posting up. It's one thing if you've got, guys like Embiid and Nikola Jokic, and they're really big guys with the low centers of gravity. And when Porzingis, because he's got a higher center of gravity, tries to post up, he's easily moved. And it doesn't matter whether it's a big guy that's playing against him or if it's a 6'4" guy that's just got an arm bar in the middle of his back. I must say, to me, that was the most stunning development of the series. The fact that he really became very much an afterthought, although actually yesterday he really wasn't half bad. He was 16 and 11. Didn't make his 3-point shots, though. And again, as a spacer, that's what the Mavericks wanted him to do because he is a good shooter. But, given what we saw in the bubble last year, when he averaged 30 in the 8 games and he averaged 24 against the Clippers in the 3 games before he got hurt, the fact that he could not produce, could not be any kind of factor on a consistent basis as an option for Doncic is, to me, the most remarkable aspect of this series, that it just didn't go down that way.
And Coop, he's under contract, so what, in theory, can they really do in terms of Kristaps? Is it a matter of just trying to find a way to make it work better? Is it a matter of trying to find somewhere else for him to go? How do you think they view this no-show and kind of, this disappointing postseason? How do they view that moving forward with this Kristaps-Luka pairing?
Well, if they weren't shopping him at the deadline, as had been reported, they probably are shopping him now and just getting a much better sense of, okay, if we do trade him, what can we get for him? And maybe it's just the incredibly stubborn nature of me, but I still think there's something there. But, was he healthy? And if he was healthy, then it really does become a problem. Was he hurt and they just didn't say anything just because it's the playoffs? We knew Cleveland was hurt for sure and Redick, obviously, but was he still feeling the after effects of missing the 10 games with the sore knee? I don't know. But it is the 800-pound gorilla on their shoulder. It is the question that must be answered one way or another before the beginning of next season.
Chuck, it looks like Luka Doncic is going to sign a contract extension. I don't think that comes as a huge surprise, but on your end, are you hearing that same thing? I guess he mentioned in media interviews today. Your thoughts on Luka and a new contract extension in the works?
Well, yeah. I mean, he's going to get a max extension because he's going to be an All-NBA player for the second consecutive year, and he'll be the first to ever have a $200 million contract, coming off of his rookie contract. And, it comes as absolutely no surprise. I'm sure ultimately it will be, while they'll say it's a 5-year deal, it'll really be a 4-year deal because there'll be a player option on the 5th year. There's no doubt that he was going to sign this, and it's going to go into effect starting with the 2022-2023 season. But at that point, guys, the clock is ticking.
Yeah.
The clock is ticking on the team to be able to put the necessary pieces around him so that he doesn't become Damian Lillard. I mean, Damian Lillard is fantastic. We saw what he did for Portland. I mean, it was absolutely electric to watch. But the Blazers are home again for the 4th time in the last 5 years. Now, the other year they got to the conference finals, and that was notable. But this guy wins. That's all he's ever done in his life is win. And the fact now that he has been eliminated in the first 2 years of his playoff competition in not getting out of the first round, is going to drive him absolutely insane. And the Mavericks have to move heaven and earth, frankly, to make sure they have the correct pieces around him so that what happened this year, certainly what happened last year, but especially this year when you had a 2-0 and 3-2 lead in the series and couldn't win the series, that it never happens again as long as Luka is here and in his prime.
How much different do you expect the roster to look next year?
I think there will be, there's 17 players on the roster. Mm-hmm. They don't have a draft choice right now and probably won't have one. I think there will be changes because there's no way the roster is good enough. But is it going to be a total overhaul? Just throw everybody out except for Doncic and Dorian Finney-Smith? I don't think so. I don't think we're doing that. But again, I have the only way that to me that there is a marked difference in this team next year is if Porzingis is traded, and if Tim Hardaway does not resign. Although I definitely think the Mavericks want him back, and they should want him back, given how he played for them this year.
Chuck Cooperstein, voice of the Mavericks, here with us. Coop, thank you so much for joining us every time that you have this year, and I'm sure that we'll have you back on. I'm very curious when name, image, and likeness hits to get really hits and starts going to get your opinions on that. Because it is going to be the wild, wild west if it isn't already. Yep. I mean, even with the portal being what it is, recruiting rules being what they are, you throw that into the mix, man. It is a brave new world that we're all going to be looking at. yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we talk about it all the time. But Chuck, thanks a lot. Enjoy whatever off season that you do take, and before you get back to it.
Thanks for having me, guys. Take care.
Chuck Cooperstein, voice of the Mavericks, here with us, and great. He's great on college sports, man.
He is.
Yeah,
we might big Florida Gator, which is surprising that you'd even have him on the show as a result of that.
There's some people that look. Tom Petty's from Gainesville. Emmett Smith, Chuck Cooperstein.
Yeah,
they're outside. They've moved outside the bubble for me.
I'm glad that he said it, and I felt the same way. I think everybody watching the Mavericks felt the same way. The 800-pound gorilla, as he called it, on the Mavericks this offseason is what happens with Kristaps Porzingis. I know if my sister had a vote, he'd be thrust into the realms of outer space right now. She hates him. She hates him with a passion because she watches him and he just doesn't look like he cares. And he's like, that's the thing is as Chuck's pointing out, is he hurt? That's the thing is nobody even knows why he looked as bad as he did. And yesterday wasn't his worst day, but he played so poorly that everybody watching at home had to go either he doesn't care like either way what happens here and he just wants to go home, or he's hurt, or there's like some sort of infight in the like something's off. Like, so what is it? And I'm glad to know that everybody was kind of, or most people were kind of thinking the same thing, and Chuck himself is thinking the same thing of like, what is the deal? Is he healthy or not? Does he want to be here or not? But God, like that's your number 2 guy, and he was for the most part an absolute non-factor for you and hurt you in several ways. So I'm very intrigued by what that looks like. You know, the Kristaps-Luka pairing was supposed to be the pairing that carried them for the next several years, and so far it's, you know, basically just been some first-round exits. So Luka's not going anywhere. I had forgotten about that, you know, the being named the All-NBA, how that bumped up. His contract's ready now. So great to know that he's going to be signing an extension and won't be going anywhere for the next 4 or 5 years. So you can go ahead and buy that Doncic jersey and feel good about, you know, being able to wear that for a while and hopefully for forever. But as he pointed out, you can't feel like he's Dirk Nowitzki just yet because you can't rule out the possibility that he could get incredibly frustrated with, you know, first-round exit after first-round exit. I mean, ultimately, the guy plays for championships. That's what he did in Europe. That's what he's going to want to do in America. And if the Mavericks can't do that for him, then he's going to look for somewhere else to go and do that. But thankfully, not anytime soon. But they better get a roster around him, because if I have to watch another year of like, oh, well, you know, they missed the second round again, but he's only 24 now. Well, okay. Well, then he's only 25.
He's only 26.
And he's only 26. And like, I would rather
Lillard.
him. Yeah, exactly.
Great comparison.
That was an incredible comparison. It's spot on. You don't want him to become Damian Lillard and waste all of his prime years. So how about get him in the mix now, and he's competing for titles at 25 and 26. And then, you know, what happens in his 30s are extra sauce, you know, because he's as good as he's going to be athletically right now. And he's not going to get any younger. He's still plenty young, but again, you skip that rock a couple years down the road and like, oh, well, he's only 26 now and he's never been out of the – well, eventually that's going to get old. And, you know, I'm glad they're locking him down. No surprise, nobody could match it because of the numbers involved. So that played in the Mavericks' favor. But how long will it play in their favor if this keeps up? Not very long. So big offseason in store for the Mavericks.
Yeah, and, you know, Kristaps Porzingis to me is kind of – he is like the big budget movie with a great trailer that when you go to see, you're like, no, I hate this.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, I don't like – maybe you don't want to see anything else that's made about that until they like retool. Like, he's Batman forever.
Yeah,
you know, like
pretty
it's
much
what he is. You know, until you give me a new Batman, a new director, and a new idea with what this is, I don't really care with your ideas about it. Like that's where Kristaps is that we were in Atlanta at the Super Bowl, and I heard, were you there when he said it? I heard Jeff Wade, Skin Wade, just bellow out about they had made that. That's how I found out about it. Like he was just jumping up and down about the Mavs getting Kristaps Porzingis. And he has not, if that was even just one person and just him, he has not justified that reaction from one person yet.
No, he hasn't.
And you know, Tim Hardaway Jr., like, you may have to call that trade now. Brad Underwood made a point the other day. We had him on. That's more the Tim Hardaway Jr. trade than a Kristaps trade.
Well, that's what. Yeah, a lot of people have been calling him that here for. I've seen that for a while now because it's true. He's been a non-factor for the most part. I mean, a non-factor in comparison to what your expectations were, and the expectations were built up pretty high about what he was going to be able to do and the type of talent that he was and how he would work with Luka and their back history and all that stuff. But yeah, they got to re-sign Tim Hardaway Jr. He's already making over 17, so I'm interested to know what he would be making. You know, let's see. Boban's a free agent. I mean, that won't be high money. He makes less than $4 million a year. I would imagine, you know, chemistry-wise, he could be brought back. Man, they played him so many minutes. I mean, I think I said it either off air or on air earlier. There's like the most minutes he's played in his entire NBA career was yesterday. Or second most. It was one of those numbers. Regardless, he was out there way more than he should have been because, again, they were just trying to find something that was working. But I know Boban's big for team chemistry. He is an unrestricted free agent, though. So, yeah, Boban and Tim Hardaway Jr. And, you know, we'll see kind of how they retool this thing. But, yeah, very disappointing first-round exit. Not surprising that they lost to the Clippers, but just the fact that they were up 2-0 and then they were up 3-2. The fact they were up big in Game 3, I mean, he said it. That was the game where it all went sideways. As they were up huge in the first half, they blew that lead. Clippers won, and the whole series flipped as a result of that. You should have been up 3-0, no questions, and then you've got 4 games to win 1, and I'd feel pretty good about your chances to do that. But they did not get it done in Game 3, and now they didn't get it done in Game 7, and they're going home for the rest of the offseason, and it's on their shoulders. So Mark Cuban. Get to work on this roster. Donnie Nelson and company, get to work on this roster. Do as much as you can do because, again, you've got a superstar. The one thing you do know about the Mavericks is they have one of the top 5, and some might even argue higher, top 5 current players in the NBA. Bottom, even haters would have to say he's still top 10. Like, that's how good he is. So make it work. Don't waste this time with Luka.
Yeah, absolutely not. Yeah, Boban was probably less tired after getting his ass handed to him by John Wick than he was after Game 7 the other day. So, I mean, they've got a lot of work to do. Before I forget, and I know this is downshifting here, we're going to talk Julio Jones to the Titans in the next segment. Buck Reesing of 104.5, The Zone in Nashville next. But college baseball postseason going on right now, and the tournament's begun. Texas, the overall 2 seed, they didn't lose a game. They advance. TCU, Craig, is out. Texas Tech advances, no problem, but TCU is out. They're gone. They're done. Oklahoma State also eliminated, but the Big 12 has 2 of the 4 teams still remaining, but TCU, who was hosting a regional, out. Surprisingly enough, the 2 teams left from that one, Oregon State, who won the College World Series a few years ago, and Dallas Baptist, who really just like to ruin Big 12 team seasons.
Well, Dallas Baptist is very good. I mean, I don't know. Do they play any sports besides baseball at Dallas Baptist? I don't even know.
Sometime. I mean, they're tied line at least to balance it out. But yeah.
The only time I ever hear about Dallas Baptist ever is in regards to baseball. Yeah. Ever. So, they're a tough out. And, yeah, that's mighty disappointing for TCU. You wonder how much the coaching rumors around Schlossnagle and A&M and whatever is, playing into that. Maybe some, maybe not at all. I don't know. Regardless, it's massive disappointment for TCU. It's a massive disappointment. That is not at all where they were expected to finish their season in the regional round. So, be interesting now to see what Schlossnagle does. If it's his last run at TCU, then, I think fans will forever kind of asterisk this early exit and go, wonder if that played into things. But if he sticks around and remains coach at TCU, then, they got some work to do, and they got some pissed off fans right now, and rightfully so, because they had no business not being alive past this weekend. So, major upset, and not good for the Big 12, but, I mean, good news is Texas pretty much had a cakewalk in their regional, and they've got a cakewalk moving forward. I mean, they don't have to play TCU anytime soon, so there's one less team to worry about.
Well, and look, they don't have to play. They were paired with the Gainesville regional, and they don't have to play one of the 2 best teams in that one, which were Florida and Miami.
Yeah, they got eliminated.
Yeah, so
they got a cakewalk to Omaha, basically.
Yeah, they're going to play South Alabama or South Florida.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's who they got. The only 2 supers that are set, Mississippi State will host Notre Dame, and Vanderbilt will host East Carolina. Arizona, Texas Tech, NC State, Texas, and Tennessee all waiting for opponents, and that will get all fleshed out today. Oregon State, by the way, in the bottom third, leads Dallas Baptist right now. Ole Miss thumping Southern Miss pretty good, 9-2. I don't care who wins that regional. It doesn't matter because they both hurt my feelings. So
yeah, well, I could see where some of the players or some of the teams that we saw this past weekend, you make an argument Baylor should have been in over some of these temes that played. But that was fair. They're bad.
I think they're probably also victims of you got a lot of one bid leagues. So those they get in. Well, you're on the.
Just goes back to that last month of the season, when things went sideways, is you win a couple more games and you're probably still playing right now, or you at least were playing this past weekend, but instead you're at home. So, 1 or 2 Big 12 teams already have fallen off with, as you mentioned, TCU and Oklahoma State. So I expect Texas to be in Omaha. Texas Tech wouldn't surprise me being in Omaha as well. We will see, though. But, Texas does have a cakewalk because of what happened in the regionals around them. They're going to play directional schools basically moving forward for the foreseeable future to get to Omaha. So that worked out well for them.
In our next segment, Buck Reesing of 104.5 The Zone joins us to talk about a massive move in the NFL. Julio Jones on his way to the Tennessee Titans. This is SicEm365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. They've got a lot of great deals going on, as they always do at Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. They've had summer savings event, fall savings event. I mean, you kind of lose track of all the great deals they've been offering at Richard Carr over these last few months and all throughout the pandemic as well. But right now, it's not Christmas time or springtime. It's travel time. It's just a travel time in a big way. Families, friends on the road, going to various places, things opening back up. So you're probably out on the road, and if you are, you want to feel good about the vehicle you're driving. Right now, you can take advantage of the summer savings event at Richard Carr. You can get on the road with space, safety, and luxury in a Buick. The Buick SUVs are all priced to move right now at Richard Carr. Current Buick or GMC owners get 16% off of new 2021 Buick Encores, 13% on Encore GXs, 9% on midsize Buick Envisions, or 13% on a full-size Buick Enclave. And Richard Carr is also loaded with premium pre-owned cars and trucks. All pre-owned cars and trucks are priced to move during the summer savings event, with multiple cars and trucks priced under $230 a month for qualified buyers. And each pre-owned vehicle goes through a 172-point inspection before it hits the lot. And with dozens of lenders, they say yes when others say no, because 100% credit approval is always the goal. Richard Carr is your local hometown dealership, so give them a chance to earn your business with great prices, free oil changes on new cars and trucks, and superior service after the sale. Come by and take a test drive, or let them bring the test drive to you. It's a summer savings event going on all month at Richard Carr.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneerboys.com.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott at edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The SicEm365 Radio app is sponsored by Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Paul, Catalina, Craig Smoak. David Smoak back tomorrow. Joined now by Buck Rising, 104.5 The Zone in Nashville to talk Tennessee Titans and their move of Julio Jones. Buck, thanks so much for joining us. This was something that from the very beginning that seemed to make the most sense, but the Titans got put on the back burner because there was this rumor out there that there was a big deal, gigantic first-round pick to be had for Julio, but turns out that that wasn't the case. How did this come about with the Titans, and did they just kind of lay in the weeds until the Falcons came back to them?
Well, I did read, and thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it. I did read Albert Breer's reporting today in the Monday Morning Quarterback about there not being a first-round pick on the table, and that directly conflicts, of course, with Diana Rossini's report saying that there was, in fact, a first-round pick on the table. So everybody is kind of up in the air as to what actually happened there and who this mystery team that would be willing to put that kind of compensation out there for a 32-year-old receiver. But, yeah, Titans sat on their hands. They realized that there was not any kind of a market, really, for him outside of Seattle doing some sniffing around, doing some due diligence, and ultimately Atlanta had to move this guy simply to get him off their books and to sign their rookie draft class, to be able to move on with all the other financial work that they're having to do between Matt Ryan, Grady Jarrett, and a bunch of other deals that new GM Terry Fontenot has had basically placed in his lap after Thomas Dimitroff got fired. So the Titans waited it out. The rest of the NFL looked around and said, well, there's not really a desperation play for another team here because of all of the talented young wide receivers that are currently in the NFL right now. And ultimately, the Titans end up getting something that's it's not a luxury really at all. It's something that they desperately needed because they had a substantial amount of losses on the offensive side of the football to replace.
Well, Buck, that was what I was going to ask you in terms of, I think most people say, hey, even if you got 17 wide receivers, you still want Julio Jones. But roster-wise, where does he fit in? Where does he make the impact? And why is this so important?
I mean, it's important because they lost 45% of their receiving production in Corey Davis going to the Jets, Jonnu Smith to the Patriots, and they cut Adam Humphries, who is now one of the new wide receivers for the Washington football team. So they had to do something, and the guys currently on the roster, they have a fourth-round rookie in Des Fitzpatrick. They, of course, have A.J. Brown, but they were one injury away from having the worst group of wideouts in the NFL. So A.J. is the wide receiver one here in Tennessee. Julio will be 1A, and everything else runs through Derrick Henry, which is a nice luxury to have because now defensive coordinators are going to have to make a judgment call on who they want to take away and how they're going to try to stop the other two. Turns out that's a much more difficult proposition than anybody else is going to. I mean, most other teams, really outside of the Kansas City Chiefs, and you could probably make the argument for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the NFC, there's really not a threesome of skill position players like that right now in the league.
Does he also help offset, because tight end is a big question mark for the Titans because he is such a big red zone threat. Does he help offset that because they're going to have to piece that together with some young players, aren't they?
Well, I would push back on the idea that Julio Jones is a red zone threat. In fact, that's kind of the biggest knock on him is that he doesn't necessarily produce touchdowns. He's more of a decoy in that area, and that's why Calvin Ridley's numbers have been so good in Atlanta. Tight end-wise, yes, they are going to have to adjust what they do because no team ran more 12 personnel, two tight end sets than the Tennessee, or one team in the NFL ran more two tight end sets than the Tennessee Titans last year, and that was under a different coordinator who obviously is now the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons in Arthur Smith. So their game planning is going to have to change. This team will have to evolve on that side of the ball. I think Derrick Henry is still very much going to be a featured portion of it, but certainly what they did last year with keeping guys in to help with the run blocking scheme when they max protect and run two-man routes down the field to try and take advantage of the play action passing game that Ryan Tannehill has become, frankly, ruthlessly efficient at. Anthony Ferkser is a nice player. He's basically a slot receiver, and he can't help you when it comes to blocking. He's not a versatile tight end. He's going to have to adapt his game, or otherwise they're going to have to adapt what they do around him, and that's basically what Todd Downing, the new offensive coordinator, is tasked with here in Tennessee.
Buck, I would imagine that Tennessee fans are rejoicing, the last 24 hours of the Julio Jones news, but double-digit wins for the first time since 2008 last year, going 11-5, which is kind of the feel, the kind of optimism amongst Tennessee fans right now with this Titans team.
Oh, certainly. I mean, Titans fans think they're going to win the Super Bowl right out of the gate. And frankly, and I appreciate that. They are allowed to feel that way today, certainly. And yesterday when the news broke, that's the kind, it's that Christmas Day type feeling where, especially when you've already had Christmas in free agency and you landed Bud Dupree. They've now three separate times landed a pretty massive free agent. Jadeveon Clowney last year, obviously the experiment failed, but this is a new trend where the Tennessee Titans have become a little bit of a destination for players who are out here trying to ring chase, which is shocking to anybody who's followed the Tennessee Titans, or certainly the last decade of football that they've had down here, substantially improved under general manager John Robinson and Mike Vrabel. From an objective standpoint, I don't think that Julio Jones is the difference between the Tennessee Titans winning the Super Bowl or not, but it certainly makes their lives a hell of a lot easier in their pursuit of it. The question is, can you maintain the health of the player, because he only played 9 games last year and is starting to get up there in age.
Does he also help the fact that they can maybe move Josh Reynolds into a more natural role? I know he's only there on a 1-year deal, but he was productive in LA, just not the fourth wide receiver there, and Tennessee gives him a better opportunity.
Certainly. When Corey Davis left, we talked to Josh Reynolds, who I know you guys are familiar with, down there in Texas, and Josh Reynolds felt very comfortable about the idea that he would be able to fill into that Corey Davis role. Now, what people think of when they talk about Corey Davis as the second wide receiver here in Tennessee is that he just naturally slotted in on the outside, when in fact that wasn't the case. Corey Davis took more slot snaps than any wide receiver on the roster last year, and ironically enough, Josh Reynolds had more snaps in the slot than any Titans wide receiver in 2020 playing for the Los Angeles Rams. So it allows them to do, it seems, what Josh Reynolds might, as you alluded to, might be a more natural fit for. You don't have to worry about him carrying the load if A.J. Brown, who is coming off 2 knee surgeries in the offseason, suffers any kind of a setback or is in any kind of way diminished. As he kind of rehabilitates and recuperates from those off-season surgeries. It's a really, really strong 3 wide receiver set at this point. And the rookie, the 4th-round pick out of Louisville, Des Fitzpatrick, gets a little more time to kind of develop into something, whereas otherwise he would have been kind of thrust into the fire right out of the gate.
Has the defense improved enough to where this Julio Jones move will not go in vain, at least a little bit, for them to get at least another level in the playoffs to where they're contending for a conference title?
I mean, they were historically bad on that side of the ball, without question. They gave up a higher percentage of third down conversions than any defense in the history of the sport last year. And the guy who oversaw that defense got a promotion out of it, which, we're still trying to figure out how exactly that works down here in Nashville, or I guess up here in Nashville for you guys. The defense needed an oil change, and Robinson went out and basically rebuilt the entire engine. The secondary has been blown up. They went out and stole a couple pieces from the Indianapolis Colts, who had one of the best defenses in football last year, to put Danico Autry next to Jeffrey Simmons, who is a bona fide superstar at this point in the NFL at defensive tackle. Bud Dupree is going to take some time to come back from the ACL that he tore in early December. So that will be a waiting game, but certainly it makes the life a lot easier on players like Simmons and Harold Landry, who is in a contract year out of Boston College, to kind of, certainly, they could trip and fall into as many sacks as they got last year and made the playoffs. 19 for a playoff team, ties a low. They cannot be worse on third down, and if they are, they don't deserve to be in this conversation to begin with. The good news for Shane Bowen as the defensive coordinator is that they can't get much worse. So even if they are just slightly above the 29th best defense in football, as they were last year, turns out you can still win your division. How much further in the playoffs you can get is an entirely different matter. But they seem to have taken the steps that they needed to make that difference. Buck
Rising, 104.5 The Zone in Nashville. Buck, I was just up in Nashville. I'm asking you this question because it didn't bother me. It was just something I was curious about. If I were to move to Nashville and start a pedal bar or some sort of cool bus bachelorette party thing, is the market too flooded? Or if I had a good enough, unique idea, would I make it?
I think that's an excellent question because the market is wildly oversaturated here. Just the other day, our radio station is downtown off of Lower Broadway, which is, of course, the main strip. And I was watching a pedal tavern that, well, it was really a tractor that was pulling a hot tub that was encased by plexiglass. And, a handful of bachelorettes were being thrown shirts and doing what people most normally do on Bourbon Street in New Orleans when things are tossed their way. So, you can try and top the Music City Party Tub, as I believe it's dubbed. But we have all manner of tractors, pedal taverns, party barges. It's really, really going to be a tough thing to break into. But, maybe I've seen stranger things down here, so I think you should shoot your shot.
I would worry about the Music City Party Tub guy having to fight off lawsuits for the staph infection that inevitably comes from that hot tub.
I'm quite certain that's where COVID started, to be honest with you.
Buck Rising joins us here on SicEm365 Radio. Buck, thanks so much, and we'll have you on again if there's any Titans news.
Without question, Dort. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, boys. Thanks.
Yes. Buck Rising, 104.5 The Zone in Nashville. Joins us here. Great stuff there. Craig, I'll tell you, you would really enjoy Nashville as far as like...
I've been there.
Yeah, you were there. You were there. But I mean, like, it's a cool place, right? I mean, it's a cool place, except that the market is flooded with, pedal taverns.
I think Nashville's fine. It's cool for what it is, but it's very... glossy.
I think you would like the outer parts of Nashville.
Yeah, which I can say I've been to all these cities, but I've not really been to these cities because the stuff I'm interested in is not going and getting drunk. I don't drink, so like that does nothing for me. So Nashville, basically all I saw was bars, and so that does nothing. Meanwhile, I was actually looking around and I was like, oh, that's a cool museum I would like to go to, or and just didn't have time to. So yeah, what I saw was kind of the superficial, glossy downtown. Every bar is named after a current country singer practically.
Yeah.
Like every one of them's got their own like joint down there. It's cool. If you're a country fan, you'd love it. If you're a drinker, you'd really love it. If you like New Orleans, you'd probably like Nashville. It's not New Orleans, but it's not that far off really in what it's becoming. I mean, as far as just a drinking and walking and, kind of touring around type city. So I know it's grown immensely over the last few years. And I also know a lot of people in Nashville kind of feel like the people in Austin of like, we've kind of turned a corner here to where we're not quite what we were at one point in time and sort of lost our identity a little bit. Yeah, that's certainly happening, I think, in Nashville a little at this point.
All day long. I'll tell you, if you're in Nashville, all day long, no matter where you are in downtown, you will at least once every 10 minutes or so, if not in more frequency, hear, man, I feel like a woman on one of those buses.
I was surprised. Like every bar was named after a country singer practically. Like it was like, this is Luke Bryan's Outpost, and this is Kid Rock's, whatever it was, and this is Miranda Lambert's Muscle Factory, and it was like that was basically the whole strip.
Kid Rock's Tax Shelter.
Yeah, like it was just all these random things. But it was cool. I don't even remember what restaurants we went to, quite frankly. I know we didn't go to Kid Rock's place. Yeah. That's like a 3-story place.
Yeah, it's huge.
And very easy to hurt yourself there because like they've got the big balconies and everything. But I've heard stories of that place getting a little crazy. But yeah, Nashville's cool. It's just I have read many articles or heard many Nashville, I guess, natives say that, kind of the same things that some people who are originally from Austin are saying right now. Like, it's great, but it's a little bit too much.
Yeah, our good friend Stu Myrick that does a little work for the Horn down in Austin. We were in the Cowboys press box one time, and I can't remember who it was. Just a friend of mine that works in another market. And so this is Stu. He's from Austin, and they're like, "Oh, I love Austin." And before it could, like, the words like came all the way out of his mouth, Stu goes, "Don't move there."
Yeah.
Don't move there.
I
don't do
move
it.
to Austin right now.
Yeah, don't move it. We have too many people. Just stop. That's how Austinites, real native Austinites, feel about what's going on.
It's
in
Eastern.
Austin.
It's Eastern California. It's basically what it is.
South
in
Portland.
Austin. Yeah, I mean, well, let's not bag on Austin too much. Portland's a dump. Yeah, no, I know there's a lot of influx, and hey, why not? Texas is a great place to live, and so people are taking advantage of it. I just hope we don't lose our Texas spirit amongst all these new faces moving in.
Yeah, I agree with you, Craig. When we come back, we got one segment before the new women's basketball assistant coach, Tony Greene, joins us at 5 o'clock. We'll talk a little bit more Julio Jones in a second. I'm curious to know. We didn't really get in our opinions about it at all. We just talked to Buck Rising. That podcast up now wherever you get podcasts when you listen to our show. This is SicEm365 Radio.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Allen Samuels is holding the Ram Spotlight event on the new 2021 Ram Lone Star Crew Cab trucks at Allen Samuels. The three-peat Motor Trend Truck of the Year is built to serve. This truck is perfect for whatever your lifestyle calls for. Impressive towing, high-strength steel frame, and the smoothest, most comfortable ride of any truck. Allen Samuels, located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco. Come see the Ram Lone Star Crew Cab. The Ram Spotlight event won't last long. Visit Allen Samuels today or online at allensamuelsdcj.com.
Come by. Let's be friends.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness was built to help give you a chance to enjoy elite tennis facilities and also remain fit or reshape your body. Now Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has gone through its own physical changes. There are 7 large flat screens stretched across the main and improved weight room with Wi-Fi available and their own app to enjoy news, business, weather, or sports channels. The beautiful sound of active treadmills and elliptical machines, group exercise classes throughout each day, a new ballet bar for bar classes, a new look lounge and bar with beer and wine with more large flat screens available. Touchless water fountains outside each spacious men's and women's locker rooms, showers, sauna, and whirlpool. Upgraded PA system throughout the world-class tennis courts and lessons for adults and juniors. I promise you'll look and feel better. You just need to walk through the front door. Also, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. So start today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
It was broad daylight. I stepped into a gas station for 5 minutes to grab a snack, and just like that, my car was broken into. They made out like a bandit. My laptop, my phone, everything. I called my agent to see what could be done, and he restored my faith in humanity. My claim was processed so quickly, and I was able to recover my losses.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Do it today by searching SicEm365 on YouTube.
Welcome back into SicEm365 Radio. Quick segment here before the top of the hour, and Tony Greene, your Lady Bears assistant, joins us. Wow, Armstrong, nicely done. So people can just click that button right now and subscribe if they're watching.
No, it's just a graphic, unfortunately.
This is a graphic, but you heard.
But literally right below it, there is a subscribe button.
Okay, so right below this thing, that's right. I don't want to put my hand on the desk, that's weird. So below it. I'm trying to, I can't without putting my hand under the desk. Make things awkward. So below that button, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, which you just heard Jim Cutler tell you to do anyway. So you should subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you're, like I said earlier, if you're going to watch stupid videos on YouTube, our stupid videos. More content in our stupid videos than anything else. Craig, your thoughts on the Julio Jones trade? Do you think it reshapes the Titans all that much, or he's a 32-year-old wide receiver who can't stay healthy?
I think it's a nice addition. I don't think it puts him over the top in any way. He's a good player. He's not a great player still at this point. I mean, maybe I'm wrong in saying that, but I just feel like his best years are behind him now at this stage. And, they're going to be better, but are they going to be, better if this was 24-year-old Julio Jones? They're not going to be that much better. So, great name, star, still very good, but no, I don't think this puts them over the top, probably how some people reacted, because I think some people probably reacted still acting like this is, young Julio Jones, and it's not. I think it's fun, it's interesting, I'm glad to see him somewhere where he'll actually, still be relevant, because I feel like after the Atlanta Super Bowl failure, that franchise has kind of been forgettable, quite frankly, the last couple of years. It's just him and Matt Ryan, and that's basically it. And I don't blame him at all for, after that debacle, kind of feeling like, well, we've pretty much probably done what we're going to be able to do here, because another trip doesn't seem to be in the cards anytime soon for them. So what are your options? Go somewhere else where you still have a chance to maybe win a title, or just sit in Atlanta and kind of just let it play out. And that wouldn't be of interest to me. Didn't sound like, obviously it wasn't of interest to him, and now he's got a new home, so we'll see how good he is.
Well, it's mutually beneficial. Look, the Titans taking on a bunch of the cap number that the Falcons couldn't stomach, and signed their own draft picks this year. So because of that, it's ridiculous. So he's in a good spot. I think that's a good point for him at this point in his career. He doesn't have to be the stud, because they have A.J. Brown, who's fantastic. He can help out. They're both big wide receivers. It's going to create matchup problems. I really do like Josh Reynolds that they signed. I know it's only a one-year deal, but I like that deal. Derrick Henry is still, that guy. You can't stop in the backfield. So that's something, there. And Ryan Tannehill, one of the great comeback stories in the NFL, who was, cast off in Miami and thought of as a career backup now. He has no excuse to regress back to form. He's got weapons.
Well, and he's better than he's ever been. Mm-hmm. So, he's not regressing at all right now. He's actually playing his best football. And, that was another change of scenery type of thing. He's okay in Miami, but I think Tennessee's provided him with a new boost. And that was a video. I don't know how sound was going off on my laptop when we were talking to the Titans guy, but that was a video that popped up, and it was, Tannehill talking about the Julio Jones trade and how fired up he was. So I bet they're excited in Tennessee right now. I'd be excited too. I'm sure there's already a lot of Julio Jones jerseys that have been bought or pre-ordered or whatever. And there's reason to be excited. But still a lot of work to do. And does Tannehill play as well as he has been playing? Is Derrick Henry healthy all year long? Those are the kinds of X factors that will come into play that you really can't control.
Well, they lost last year ultimately in the postseason because they could not stop
their defense. Talking about their offense, their defense sucks. Their defense is atrocious. So, if that's not any better, then they're probably in the same spot. Maybe they win 12 games next year rather than 11. But no, absolutely. The defense is their main grave concern. But you're also counting on, the defense being better, but also everybody playing to the level they've been playing. And I'd expect that with Derrick Henry. He's probably going to be the number one fantasy pick next year, I would think. Number two, Tannehill, I anticipate him playing at the same level. But, injuries do come into play, so you never really know. But on paper, they look like a pretty formidable team, and they look like they'll be right in the thick of things.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I think it's a good win, and Buck Rising had some good points about, Julio Jones miscast as a red zone threat. I mean, that was one of the things A.J. Brown is. They don't – They're not tight end. Like they have to change things up, and their offense is new and different now, and we'll see how that plays out for them over the season. I think it's curious. It's a big move, and I think it's fun. This the Titans are a long shot. Not going to happen. There's a first round offer out there for him. No, there wasn't. Who was going to give him?
I wouldn't have.
Yeah, who was going to do that? Also today, by the way, Julio Jones claims that he did not know he was on live TV when he said what he said to Shannon Sharpe.
Right? Is that what he said? Well, I'm not surprised because that's what everybody was wondering when it happened was, does he even realize that he's on live television right now? And I didn't think that he did in watching that little clip. And, after the fact, I don't watch that show ever.
Yeah.
Like I never watch First Take, and I never will. It doesn't interest me. But, there are clips from time to time that pop up that you see, and that was certainly one of them. And in watching it, I felt like Julio Jones thought he was just on the phone with Shannon Sharpe and not talking to the entire world at that time. So, that's a little weird that happened the way that it did. But regardless, it worked out for him in the long run, so I'm sure he's not that upset about it.
Fox has not said anything about it. I mean, other than,
Oh, that's not even First Take, is it? What's that other show? Undisputed?
Yeah,
is that what it is? Yeah, I don't watch that either. I just don't. But, yeah, that was a very interesting little segment they had there with Julio a few weeks ago.
Yeah. So he says he didn't know. So
I would hope not. I would hope he wouldn't have known going on there like that, saying what he said. I mean, he didn't say anything bad. That's not the type of conversation an athlete has on public television.
Yeah, I wonder if it accelerated anything at all.
Probably.
Because I don't think he didn't see me sound bitter about Atlanta. I think he sounded like the way he talks about it is he knew the situation. I mean, it's just what it was,
Yeah.
And that was it. All right, when we come back, we'll talk a little Lady Bears with new assistant coach Tony Greene, who joins Nikki Collins' staff. This is SicEm365 Radio.
Finish for qualified buyer with $4,000 down to 2.9% DTNL extra. See dealer for details.
Travel is back during the summer savings event at Richard Carr. Explore America in the space and safety of an SUV or truck from Richard Carr. Savings like a 2016 Buick Encore for $148 a month, a 2017 GMC Sierra for only $318 a month, or a 2016 GMC Acadia for only $228 a month. At Richard Carr, 100% credit approval is always the goal. Log on or get here now and save at the summer savings event at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The other way, can they beat it on the fly? Flagler
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Tom Albers, staying in touch with you and your money through these difficult and changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Over the middle, he's got a man in stride, and walking into the end zone is Josh Fleeks with the touchdown.
Here's Paul Catalina and Craig Smoak.
David Smoak rejoins us tomorrow here on SicEm365 Radio for his nice little vacation in Florida. And a guy who's, he might get some vacation time, but he's about to start a new job. Tony Greene, new Lady Bears assistant coach, joins us now. And Coach, thanks for hopping on the show. So what was this process like joining Nikki Collins' staff? Where did you guys intersect along the coaching highways that this came about for you to come to Waco?
Well, first of all, let me say I'm really, really excited to be a part of the Baylor family. Nikki and I, we coached against each other when she was an assistant at Arkansas, her and Tyree, and I was at Grambling State at the time. And we reconnected. I just got a phone call when she accepted the job. I was totally honored and surprised, and and we talked for over a week or so, almost 2 weeks. We just talked on the phone, and we talked a lot about a lot of different things. We talked a little about basketball. We talked more about life and pouring in the kids and things like that. And she ended up offering me the job, and it was I was very excited once she actually put the offer on the table, and I was ready to come home.
So what were some of those things you feel like you kind of connected on and were of similar, I guess, value to you as people and helping, players and on and off the court? Like, what were kind of some of the things you felt like in conversing with her, you were kind of on the same page together?
Well, when she talked about not just developing winners on the court, but winners in life, that's where it really connected with me, because I have 4 daughters and a son, and my coaches growing up had a major impact on my life. And so she asked me my why, why I'm in the business, what makes me go. And my why is actually serving others. I wouldn't be in the position that I'm in today if people, God didn't put people in my life that actually was instrumental in developing me as a young man. And I appreciate that, and I always, made an agreement to God that I'm going to always pay it forward. And I think that's where we really connected, about pouring into other people, serving other people, paying it forward, invested in players, invested in the community, in Waco, investing in Baylor as a university. And that's where we made our connection.
So you're a Texan, right? You grew up here. Where did you grow up in Texas?
I'm from Dallas, Texas, in the inner city, Oak Cliff, Texas. That's what we call it. I went to Roosevelt High School. I went to Roosevelt High School for 2 years, and then I finished up at Richardson High School on the suburbs of Dallas.
Okay, well, yeah. So, I mean, you're well familiar with the area. You've been recruiting at a long time. Even as a JUCO coach, I know at Langston. With the Baylor name around you recruiting, and you've always been a good recruiter, how much easier does that make your job when you say, "Hi, this is Tony Greene from Baylor"?
Well, I believe that with the Baylor brand, you can recruit from coast to coast. Don't get me wrong. I think Texas has more than enough for Baylor, but Baylor gives you the opportunity to get in the living room from the West Coast to the East Coast. And so what more can you ask for, to help you recruit? I think that the tradition and the former players and coaches have done a great job to create that opportunity, and I'm looking forward to carrying it on.
How much, Coach, did you watch the Baylor women's program over the years? And what Kim Mulkey obviously did was incredible before leaving for LSU. But what's kind of your knowledge and background or just thoughts on what you have seen from the Lady Bears program?
Well, I've watched them some. I really watched them more. This is so funny. When I was at Marquette, if we got knocked out in the first round, and if we would have won, we would have played Baylor. But Virginia Tech beat us. Mm-hmm. So I had some Baylor scouts. So I'm very familiar with the players to a certain extent for the most part. And I was very impressed with their toughness, with their the energy that they spend on the defensive end of the court. I was very pleased with not their first effort, but their second and third effort when it comes to making plays. And great teams can dig down and give you that third and fourth effort, whether it's offensively or defensively. Of course, they're talented, but I think they are mentally tough. I think they love competing. And so those are all the things that stood out to me, to be at the level that Baylor program is. You have to be more than just talented. You have to be committed. You have to be willing to sacrifice on a lot of different levels. And I think that, it's easy to say that Coach Mulkey has that program doing those things consistently.
So you've been away from the state of Texas for quite a while, save 3 years at Texas Southern, right?
Yes.
So were you, you're at a point, were you antsy to get back home? Was this part of the draw?
That was a huge draw for me. My parents, my mom's 80, my dad's 85. I've been away from home for 27 years. I've always recruited in the area, but I've just been away from home. I'm a family guy. I'm a country guy. My dad is I was born and raised in Giddings, Texas, off Highway 77. We used to drive from Dallas through Waco, hit Highway 77 and get to Giddings. And so I used to spend my summers down there, and I miss those things. I've just been away from my family. I have 8 brothers and a sister. My kids are older. They're in college. They're living in different states. And so, they live in Texas and Oklahoma. And so with that being said, it was just that was a huge reason why I wanted to come home as well. That Baylor was a good fit for me. I thought that everything just lined it up.
Is most of your family still in the Dallas area, the Giddings area, or are they kind of spread out?
That they are majority. I have one brother in Giddings, and I have one brother in Oklahoma, and then everybody else is the rest of my brothers and sisters are in Dallas.
Well, let me tell you what. Let me tell you what, Coach. I moved to Waco several years ago. That drive to Dallas now is like nothing. So you're gonna love. Yeah, you're gonna feel like it's just going home and back. Yeah. You do it so often. It feels like absolutely nothing. Now, are you looking forward to some good barbecue, some Whataburger? Like, are there some other things about?
I tell you what I'm looking forward to in Waco. Every time we drove from Dallas to Giddings, Texas, we stopped in Waco. When we got on Highway 77, right there where the circle is, there was the best hamburger place. I can't think of the name.
Health Camp?
Hamburger spot, right?
Health Camp. Yeah.
Yes. I can't wait to get one of those burgers. That's the first thing I'm going to do as soon as I get to wake up.
Good call. Good call.
So, Coach, you have 5 kids. You had 8 brothers and sisters. You do a job that requires you to be in a gym. Do you get uncomfortable in quiet rooms?
You know what? That is so funny. My wife gets on me all the time because I have to go to sleep to a TV. I'm serious. Like, because that's so true. When you grow up in a home where it's real busy, you get accustomed, you get immune to the noise. And so that's something that, quiet rooms, they bother me a little bit. I'm used to having things move around and, I'm used to seeing stuff move around and be a little busy. So, yes, quiet rooms don't bother me. And you know what? It's going to be awesome being around. Baylor has a huge support for women's basketball, so I'm going to be excited to be around a lot of people.
Yeah, they certainly do, and has been going for a while like that. A nice fan base built up over the years. Now, you specialize in guard development. You've gotten to look at some of these guards. Look, they just picked up a transfer guard from Oklahoma State. How much have you gotten to look at them since the time that you took the job, and of course, obviously the scout that you did last year?
Right. I haven't had a lot of time to actually look this particular year. I'm a little familiar with the look guard from Oklahoma State who can really shoot it. Has deep range, can shoot it off the bounds behind ball screens, which is very, very good. I think he's a really good player. I just remember the scout from last year. I thought that every guard that stepped on the floor was an elite defender, which was awesome. I don't think they had really weak links defensively. And I thought that the guards did a great job of doing their role. The Baylor was, normally an inside-out team. And when you have that type of talent on the inside, there's no reason why not to be. But I also thought the guards did a great job of picking and choosing when to, contribute and when to be more aggressive. Depending on the double teams and stuff like that. So, I thought, without a doubt, Baylor lost 2 really, really good guards to the WNBA. And so, it's going to be exciting to fill the need and to continue the tradition to, recruit and get some more kids in there that can contribute just like they did.
What does Nikki Collins' WNBA experience bring as kind of an extra thing to her head coaching style and what she's going to be able to tell recruits and players already on the team about that next level and styles of basketball that she's encountered?
Right. Well, recruiting-wise, I think that, a lot of kids that play that's going to come to Baylor and want to play at a high level, their goal normally is to play in the WNBA or across seas. So Coach Collins has a lot of experience in that. She can speak from a different level of some college coaches when it comes to in-depth vision of what it's going to take to be a contributor on the WNBA level. I think coaching-wise, there's a lot of different things, a lot of different, when you have to defend elite players in the WNBA, you have to come up with creative schemes to stop. So I think with that experience of her trying to defend and guard the best players in the world on a night-to-night basis, there's a lot that she can bring to the Baylor program to contribute extra and O-wise.
So, Coach, I know this has been like probably a whirlwind for you. I mean, you just, got announced as having taken the job. So not trying to rush you here with this question, but what is kind of, now that you've accepted the job, what's kind of your schedule or your next few weeks look like as far as, gathering up all your things and moving and getting to Waco? Like, how's that kind of timeline, or is that something you guys are still working out?
Well, my plan is to start my way to Waco this Thursday. I'm still trying to work out some kinks, but I would like to be on campus no later than Monday. Okay. To meet everybody and start my tenure at Baylor.
And get that Health Camp burger.
Yeah.
And get that Health Camp burger as well. Yeah. Yeah, I was just there a few weeks ago, actually, and they do make some good burgers. Well, Coach, thrilled for you and thrilled for you to be back in Texas. I know that obviously means a lot to you in talking to you, and I know Lady Bears fans are fired up as well to have you on board and see this staff continue to grow. So congratulations, and I'm sure we'll be running into you sooner rather than later, and we really appreciate your time.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I can't wait to meet you face to face, and I'm looking forward to diving into the community and serving.
Thank you, Coach. We appreciate it. Enjoy. Have good luck with the move.
Absolutely.
It's never easy. You know that. You're your coach, so you've moved a lot. You're a pro at it. So, all right.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Coach.
Yeah. All right. There you go, Tony Greene. There we go. Glad that he's going to get that burger. You know what? It's weird. That happens to me when I know that I'm going to go someplace that I've been before. Then I'm like, ooh, hey, I get to go to that place. Mm-hmm. I'm sure it's probably like in the back of his mind, or like,
it must have been.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean,
it must have been. But there's quite a few good spots all around Waco that I'm sure he'll find. Double R is always good, but there's a lot of. But Health Camp's a good one too. But I'm glad that he's official. I'm glad that Nikki Collin is continuing to chop away at this coaching staff, and we've seen her now bring in Sophia Young-Malcolm. We've seen her bring in Tari Cummings. We've seen her now bring in Michael Mata, Aaron Sternecker, Michael Odom, like everybody doing different roles. Mata be the assistant AD for basketball operations, Sternecker the video coordinator, Odom assistant director of operations. We know Sophia is going to be in the player development side of things. And then he and Cummings with the the full bore assistants. So I don't know what in the top of my head, I don't know what all she has left still to do. If there's more hires or not.
Yeah, I think there's probably
another one, probably.
I mean,
another one or two. Maybe.
Coach Smoak had a big coaching staff.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, that's her. So I don't know if that's normal.
I don't know what I don't know what the number is. Like she had a larger one than normal. And obviously, she earned that because of of doing that. But do you? What's Nikki Collin comfortable with?
Right.
Does she want a staff of this? Because sometimes you don't. People may say, "Oh, well, the last coach had 9 assistant coaches." Well, I may only want 6. I don't. I want people to do different things, or those kind of things. Whatever you're comfortable with, or you start here and then you add as needed, kind of a thing. But
there's 3 for team. I think just based on what I'm reading right here, because I don't know those rules on how many coaches are allowed, but I think there's 3 main assistants per team, unless this has changed since this article.
Well, then you have other things, yeah.
But no, that's what I mean is there's the video operations, and that doesn't count, and so that's some of the hires she's made. So based on if you are allowed 3 full-time assistants, like assistant coaches, then I would think she's got 1 more to make.
Yeah.
Because he and then Tari Cummings would fit that bill.
Yeah.
Unless I'm missing something, but I think that's what we're looking at.
Sophia Young-Malcolm is associate AD for player development.
Not an assistant coach.
So she's not an assistant coach. Now she will add her expertise as asked and required, right. But she's not going to be if Nikki Collin has
gets thrown out of the game, she's not going to be coaching.
She's not going to move down the bench. She's not going to do that. So, which I doubt Nikki Collin's ever going to get. You never know, though.
Who knows?
You never know.
We haven't seen her yet. She might be really fiery. I don't know.
Yeah, she might have some of that.
Might stomp her foot a lot in those high heels. No, I'm very intrigued by what this Lady Bears team's going to look like next year. But there's a lot of excitement surrounding basketball right now. I think that's great, and more so than as Ashley Hodge I think pointed out last week, and Jason King did as well. There's more basketball talk, especially for the men, than there probably ever has been around this time of year. But pretty weird when you really think about it that there's a new Lady Bears head coach. Even though I've come to terms with that, and it's been a few weeks, it's still just sort of strange, and I think it'll be really strange when they hit the court next year, but I think it'll also be very exciting. So love talking to Tony Greene and getting to know him a little bit, and I always think it's great. It's kind of like Eric Mateos when he was so fired up to be coming back to Texas. I think that's great for Tony to be able to come back home as well and to have all these family. And I'm telling you, man, anybody who lives in Waco has to go to Dallas a lot. That drive to Dallas is nothing basically now. I mean, for me, it's nothing.
Look, I just did it this weekend, and, it's Yeah, but before, like, it's so nothing that the minute that you would get tired by it, you're already at where you're going.
As soon as I get past West, I'm good. Because it just seems like it takes a while to get to West, even though it doesn't. But then, like, after I get past West, I'm like, yep, I'm almost there already. At least that's how it feels.
Yes. My only frustration is that, like, there's places I go in Dallas where I'm like, I saw you tear this up 3 years ago. I don't think you've been back. I know, like, I'm sure Armstrong and Jack, who are from, and Hayden, they're all Dallas natives. I'm sure you guys feel that way when you're driving around. Like, what? Like, can you just put one guy with a hard hat there with a flag? It was make me feel better. Like, at least you remember that this isn't done yet. Like, sometimes I think that they're like, oh, so like, and then one day they'll get a phone call like, hey, you ever gonna do anything about that 635 up there? And they're like, oh man. Get Carl out there. We need to start digging a hole. You know, I don't know. It just, but yeah, it's great. It's great. I absolutely, you know, and look, going there and back Cowboys stuff that I've done the last few years. When we go do high school stuff, it doesn't even bother me. You know, we're gonna have to do it 4 times this year, at least.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the Midwest schedule.
Yeah, so we have to do it 4 times this year to go up to the, you know, the Metroplex. And we don't have to get like deep into it. We're, you know, in the southern part of it, but even still, it doesn't even faze me that we'll have some late nights coming back. You know, it's really where we have to go is probably about 20 minutes further than if we were going to Killeen, to Leo Buckley.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So yeah, it's not really that bad. So yeah, and plus getting back to the family, and he's got a big family, man. 5 kids, 8 brothers and sisters. That's like two Sins families, isn't it, Armstrong? You have 4. Like, there's 4 of you, right?
How many brothers does he have?
He has 8 brothers and sisters, 8 siblings.
8 siblings, yeah. There's 4 of us, but we're all boys.
Yeah. So, but still a double as far as volume goes. It's a double Sims.
That'd be awesome.
Would you like to call that, like, is that the movie should call that? If you have 8, it's a double Sims?
Yes. That's a correct term.
A double Sims. All right, when we come back, news and notes around the sports world, the Baylor sports world. This is SicEm365 Radio.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T as board-certified physician consultations will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Paul, Catalina, and Craig Smoak. Again, Smokey back tomorrow. We've missed him terribly. Armstrong cries. Nothing I can do about it, Craig. We just have to let him have his moment and get over it. But he'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah, he'll be here tomorrow. Hope, God willing, he'll be here tomorrow.
So this is interesting. Smokey sent us this tweet from Darren Heitner earlier today. And this company, which is Milner Inc., which is a technology service provider equipped to meet a broad range of needs to help any business in any industry boost efficiency and reduce costs. I don't really know what that means, but
what is this?
This is a technology company that is offering $5,000 each to 4 female athletes in Florida on July 1st. They're all, let's see, one is a gymnast, Trinity Thomas from Florida. One of them, I don't know what the others do. One of them plays soccer at FSU, and one of them plays volleyball at the University of Miami. And they're all going to get $5,000 each on July 1st as part of a marketing deal with this company. And they will get that under the new NIL law in Florida. So it's starting, Craig.
Yeah, I guess it is. I need to figure out more about this. But, it's down the tracks. And I don't know, $5,000. I don't know how much juice you're squeezing out of that $5,000. Like, who are these athletes?
They're 4 female athletes, a gymnast at the University of Florida.
Yeah. Okay, well, I mean, that right there, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much return on investment you're getting given $5,000 to a gymnast, but that makes me think that's – well, I'll tell you what, that makes me think that you're getting like at least 15, 20 if you're a football player. So, I don't know. I'm not these businesses that's going to be doing these endorsement deals or whatever they're going to be doing. The more that we get down along the tracks, the more I'm fine. Like, if you want to give a gymnast $5,000 to be in a commercial or something, I mean, that's totally your prerogative. And, there will probably be some messy incidents as a result of this. Somebody who's getting paid that ends up getting into trouble, or someone who blows their money. I'm sure we'll hear that tale more than a couple of times. But there's not really an argument the NCAA can make to say that they don't deserve to be paid. So this is all really they're doing in the long run, and we'll see how it goes. But, I saw something else. I was going to say it for off the radar, but screw it. Let's see here. Where was that? From ESPN, new partnership allow college athletes. I think this is probably what you're referring to in some ways, but there's a company called Open Doors that they're going to give college athletes the opportunity to start earning money from content they create and tweet on their smartphones. The deal with Twitter with Open Doors will ensure college athletes align with approved advertisers and published videos are compliant with NCAA rules and various state laws. So far, Nebraska, Texas, Ohio State, LSU, Indiana, and BYU have all already signed deals with Open Doors, and so have the NFL, NBA, NHL, and Major League Baseball. They've already signed with those players' associations, and it's going to be state by state. So You can do maybe some things in Florida that you can't do in Nevada or whatever, and that's part of the messiness that they're trying to sort out right now because they did this all screwed up, so everybody was doing it on their own, and now they got to try to get on the same page. So there are different rules in different places, but basically you can go on Twitter after a game, and it might be Treston Ebner sitting there with like a promoted tweet from Health Camp Burgers, and it's like his post-game thoughts on their win over Texas Tech or something. And so if that interests you, then maybe it's a wise investment for these companies. If it doesn't, then I'm sure these companies will find that out quickly and, put their money elsewhere. But that's the kind of stuff we're going to start seeing. So when you see like an athlete endorsement from some, college quarterback or something this year, and it's brought to you by Tide or whatever on Twitter, that's going to be part of what this company is doing. So that adds on to it, and the money will be flowing. I mean, I don't know. I think it's going to be fine, and there's probably a lot of overreaction to these college athletes making money. I mean, they've been making money anyways. I mean, just $100 handshakes rather than just out in front of us. So I don't think that's all that different, but I don't know, man. It's kind of weird at the same time that it's just gonna feel more like the pros, and I don't really have any interest in that. But I also understand there's not an argument against them making money off their name, image, likeness. If the NCAA had one, I'm sure they would have put it forth, but they didn't, and whatever reasons they did have weren't good enough. Imagine that with the NCAA not being good enough. But yeah, this is the world we live in now.
Yeah, the argument they essentially put forth is it's different, and they need to wait, or they can't handle, or they can't do this, and that argument might have been held water if the NCAA wasn't making any money, but they are. The thing is that, money it's not everywhere. There's money out there for them. I hope people keep realistic expectations about what they're going to get.
Yeah, not everybody's going to be big time rich off this. And look, the players at Alabama and the schools like that, they're already making money. I mean, let's be honest about it. So is it going to be way more than they were already? Is it going to be like life-changing? I don't know. It probably would be for somebody like Trevor Lawrence. So whoever those types of guys are, like I imagine the quarterback at Texas, whoever that may be, is going to probably have, some good money coming in. And really just what worries me is that there's going to be certain places, and look, like you already have, like these 7 schools are already smart to be signed up with this company. Like be ahead of the curve. Don't be constantly reacting, NCAA. And so these schools are going to be well positioned, and I'm sure some will take full advantage, and they will be a place that people go to, not because it's a school that's great or because the football team's good or you really like the coach, but because they have the most money that you can make as an endorser. You know what I mean? Like there's going to be a disparity there. You could probably make more in Austin than you make in Waco, or more in Provo than you make in Scranton or whatever. So I don't know, man. I'm interested to see how this plays out, but yeah, it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, I think it's fine. Like if you're, the Trevor Lawrence of the world could do it and make an apparel deal. They can make all these things within a year of them playing, and showing out. If you're Johnny Manziel, we talked about last week, signing autographs. Like once you win the Heisman Trophy or do what you're doing, like you're going to make some money. You've got some juice. But if you're a defensive lineman with a good personality that because you're at a big school, maybe you're not going to be a superstar NFL player or ever get a shoe deal. But if you wind up having 25,000, followers on social media that, they want to throw you a couple bucks to, talk about a place, then I think that's fine. I mean, like, I think that's fine. But I think that's the majority of it. That's what I think people aren't quite grasping, is the majority of it's going to be like, oh, look,
it's going to be stuff you don't care about. Yeah, you're going to see like a Lady Bear pop up, and there's going to be like a 15-second advertisement for Magnolia Realty, and then she'll talk about the win over Texas. And like, if that interests you, great. I mean, it's not going to be – it's just going to be more personalized. And, I think that's good to have the athlete's voice out there and to make them as comfortable as possible, because I'm sure it'll most likely lead to – some more awareness, or at least understanding of maybe, the athlete side of things. At the same time, there has been this movement now for the last several years, and I'm not saying this as a media member that's like concerned about my job or the future of media or anything like that. I just think from a pure standpoint of, the way that it should be, it should not only be the athlete's mouth that we go off of. Like there does need to be coverage still. It also doesn't need to be just the media's words on who these athletes are, because we've seen a lot of media outlets that want to paint these people the way that they want them painted and not really who they are. So maybe it leads to some middle ground where, because the athletes' voices are more powerful, that they're able to fight back or bite back on certain things. But at the same time, I sure hope that people don't think it's a good idea for it to just be their voices and not, any outsider voices either, because there's got to be a balance there. And so hopefully the balance stays. It's shifting now to be more equal towards the athlete, but it doesn't need to go, flying back the other way. It needs to find a nice middle ground. So voices on both sides are going to have their voices heard, and we'll see how this goes the next few years.
Yeah, absolutely. I just, I wish even the two things you can't rely on are government and the NCAA. They've known this, and it's coming. Try to find a way to just make some rules where everybody's not just passing laws willy nilly. That aren't.
It's too late for that.
It's too late. It's too late. Try to do this.
That's already out of the box. I mean, that's not going to be put back in. So. I went on my NCAA rants the other day.
Yeah, so.
I don't know what they do or how they do it or how they decide how they do things. It just seems like an organization we hear from as far as being on the top of the letterhead or in front of men's basketball tournament. And then occasionally every few months we hear some punishment they hand down. But outside of that, I honestly do not know what they do other than hold events and rake in money because they don't legislate. They don't get ahead of the curve. They don't really lead from what my perspective is in any way. I'm sure Matt Rhodes, athletic director, would have a different perspective, but he also has a different relationship with those people. But from my outsider's point of view, I'm at a loss for the actual point of the NCAA outside of just hosting tournaments and collecting cash. Because I would think that if you're on the clock, that part of your job would have been, to maybe prepare for things that could bring your entire establishment down. And instead we have less people in the office because of COVID, or we had to make cuts. Well, guess what? So did every other company in America practically. Millions of people lost their jobs. So you're shorthanded, so be it. You put that stuff on your own plate, figure it out, get it done, make a decision on Baylor, get some stuff going in the right direction on name, image, likeness, instead of making the government just wait it out and finally have to make a decision for you. Have some actual balls and make some actual decisions instead of just hiding behind this veil they hide behind and pop out of every once in a while to make a statement. I mean, it's a joke. It's a joke, and it's a joke that they let it get to this point. This should have already all been solved like a year or two ago, and they're nowhere close to having it solved.
Look, the minute that California, who was the first state, passed it, they should have called a special session of all right, here's their law. How do we build out from this law to say, here's the rules so that all 50 states don't do something that's going to upset the apple cart? And then the thing is that you worry about is who's influential. Listen, you need to come here because in this state, like you said, you might be able to make more money than Oscar Pro, but state to state, you'd be listen, this state says you can do this. Well, this one, you can't do that. Let's just get all that stuff out of the way.
No, I think it's great that guys are going to be choosing colleges because of where they can make the most money, not where they actually would want to go or the coach they like or whatever. Now, look, that's not going to be everybody. I don't want to paint with some broad brush because not all these people are going to be making money. I'm sorry, third string center, you're not getting jack squat unless you're just really friendly with some local restaurant or something, and they like you and they want to give you some cash. I mean, this is going to be for the stars mostly, but there will be others that, get some money, and, it's not a bad thing in the long run.
How many BS YouTube channels are going to pop up because
there's going to be so many of them.
Yeah,
how many are there just anyways? That's it's whole market in it of itself, and it's, as I said earlier with the Logan Paul stuff and the Jake Paul stuff, it's not my target demographic. I'm not in the target demographic, so I don't get it. But yeah, there's gonna be a lot of athlete YouTube channels and whatever else, I'm sure. But hey, I will say this, for those who have had podcasts or have had YouTube channels and have been established for a long time and haven't been able to make money off of it, they deserve to make money off of it. But there is going to be a bunch of jokers who just start YouTube channels just for the sake of starting YouTube channels just to get money out of your pockets because it's humans.
Yeah, just so you know, and this is my opinion on this, and I've asked a lot of people, but people have asked me about this because we do podcasts here. I hear a lot of my friends and I want to start a podcast. I'll be yeah, go for it. Everyone else does too. Wow. Make sure you have something that's different.
Yeah.
Like make something that is uniquely, as much as you can make it uniquely you in the world of,
People ask me why I didn't start a wrestling podcast, because there's 1,400 of them. Like, I would have to have something different other than just like, I'm going to talk about wrestling and my opinion is going to be better than people's. No, I got to have like a hook, whether it's the co-host, being like a former guy that would draw people in, or a completely different viewpoint other than just saying, so like Monday Night Raw was last night, and well, that's part of the reason why I wasn't doing either, because I don't want to have to watch the WWE on a consistent basis. That's the main reason. But
I think, you know what, Craig, I say this, and this may be too inside baseball for people, but and I say that as a collective term, but your stuff would be great on wrestling if you just got old wrestlers and talked about the good old days.
I wouldn't mind that.
You'd be great. I can tell you, he just died, laryngitis.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you interviewed him in Minneapolis, he stopped and talked to us for 10 minutes about how that one was better than, guys getting to try to say his catchphrase or, whatever again.
That wasn't even him, that was his partner.
But yeah, but I mean, stuff like,
what you mean though. What a rush. Yeah.
Or people ask you, about that, or,
So does it hurt?
What was Andre the Giant like? Those kind of things,
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I would be interested in doing. I don't know, but going back to the point of what we're talking about here, it's just like, don't just start another YouTube channel that's just talking about what 10 other YouTube channels are talking about, because that's just a cash grab, and I don't think it'd be much of a grab either, because you can go watch it 10 other places that have already been doing it. So I mean, if you're a college athlete, then you're looking to pursue this and make some money off of it, have a unique idea other than just, I'm an athlete in college and here's, and that'll be a pull for like some fan bases. Like I'm sure some Iowa State athlete does that. They'll make like $1 billion because literally there's nothing else but Iowa State athletics that matters to those people. But it's I mean, the possibilities are endless, basically. So we'll see what happens. But there will, I'm sure, be a lot of podcasts sponsored, a lot of YouTube channels sponsored, and things like that. And hopefully it goes smoothly and doesn't turn into a complete train wreck. But I won't be surprised either way.
So if you'd like to start a podcast, here's my thing: make it as unique as you can, make it good, and make it fun. That's it. Even if it's heavy,
and think about it too, because I know a lot of people say they want to start a podcast, and they get like 2 episodes in, they're like, oh, this is a lot more work than I thought it was. You just realize you actually just enjoyed talking with your friends and not actually recording it. So I've definitely run into a couple of those people who are like, man, this is a lot more than I thought.
I'll just tell you right now, this job is easier than almost any job it can be, but it's not as easy to be interesting for 3 hours and, have it like the two of us could talk. Craig and I can talk for hours on end about anything. Most of the stuff we talk about, people wouldn't want to hear us talk about in a podcast. So what are the stuff that we do talk about that's interesting for a podcast? That's why we do it here. And I do think you're about to see a bunch of, the offensive linemen at Tulsa podcast that are just kind of goofing around, in an apartment. That's
brought to you by Gallery Furniture, and they're making $50 a podcast or something.
Yeah. So, but good for them, but.
Yeah, I mean, they had the opportunity. I'm glad that we just can stop hearing and I don't mean whining in a negative term or crying in a negative term. I just mean it in general. But I'm glad that we can now stop hearing the whining and the crying about the athlete being paid in college and, that kind of jazz. It's been a tired, nonstop argument for like my entire life, basically, much like the college football playoff before that actually happened. So the less we can hear to the complaining, the more I'm for it. So I'm looking forward to that.
All right, when we come back, my top 5 at 5, plus Alabama extends coach Nick Saban. So glad that happened. Or am I? Or are we? Who cares? This is SicEm365 Radio.
1, 2.
I'm in love with a man named Rudy. I'm okay with that. He knows exactly what I want. He keeps me coming back. He cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. Does the dishes too. I'm in love with a man named Rudy, last name Barbecue. It sure is easy to fall in love with Rudy's tasty oak smoked barbecue.
Next in line.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobbettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasoning, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
In Texas, there's pea-size hail and baseball-size hail. Guess which one hit our house? We didn't even know where to begin, but we called our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent, and he was so reassuring. He knew exactly what to do to get our house back into shape and our lives back to normal. Now, we're even more thankful for the roof over our heads.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Are you a SicEm365 superfan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at SicEm365.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Final segment, top 5 at 5 coming up in 10 minutes. So Nick Saban's contract is extended through 2028. Craig, I'm starting to get kind of exacerbated by coach contract extensions in that I get that there's this world that you want your coach to feel comfortable and protected, but you're negotiating against yourself. And Alabama wants Nick Saban. This is nothing to them, but this is going to kick off an array of unnecessary contract extensions and guaranteed money to coaches and buyouts and all that stuff. And a lot of these guys who are getting extended aren't Nick Saban. Nick Saban deserves an extension. Dabo Swinney deserves an extension. Ryan Day deserves an extension. Lincoln Riley, extension. But most guys, who are you worried about losing them to? What if you're negotiating them, so where are they going to go?
Well, I think with Nick Saban, it's you have no more questions about how long he's going to be there.
Yeah.
You eliminate that because he's at an age now where you could, in theory, say, well, how much longer is he really going to coach? He's not going to be around that much longer. He's already 60-something years old. I'm sure that's being said in the halls of Ohio State with a young Ryan Day or in Oklahoma with a young Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley's in his 30s still, right? I think the one thing college football allowed to happen, and I don't know how you really could have prevented it, but these coaching salaries are as much a part of the problem as anything, because what is the one thing that people point to when they talk about athletes needing to get paid? Yeah. Coaching salaries. Dumbasses. Like, you did this all to yourself. So that's another thing that was just not policed well. And again, I don't know how you would have policed it, but I mean, that's like the main argument is how much the coaches are making. So you'd think that maybe you'd try to find a way to reel that in a little bit, but no. And so, yeah, it's led to ridiculous extensions, and then a guy signs an extension and gets fired 2 years later, or, whatever the case may be. I mean, a lot of college football is just announcing stuff just to keep your name in the news and name relevant. I think that's probably part of it. I think it's also Nick Saban. He's the greatest football coach of all time, so anything he does is going to be big news. But mostly, I don't know, was his contract running out soon? I haven't read an article about it. If it was, that makes even more sense.
Extending it by 3, it was running out in 2025.
Okay, well then, yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's odd. Maybe it's just a negotiation thing, to change it. I don't know. But, like I said, there's a lot of college football announcements that we get kind of like this that are just sort of like, okay, is it just a promotional thing? And that kind of feels like what this probably is.
He'll be making $10 million a year over the life of this contract.
But you can't argue against that contract.
You can't. But you said $10 million a year, and the staff, that's another couple of million in the staff, so that's, that's a lot you're paying for staffing, and you have 85 scholarship players, and obviously you take $1 million and divide it by 85, and it goes away real quick.
Right.
It winds up not being all that money, but much money. But still, I mean, that's the point you're making, is that coaching salaries get out of control. And if the coach was making $300,000 like they used to, people are like, oh well, he should. He's bringing all this money, but the money's just exploded, and there's no way that they can make an excuse anymore. I've seen this. Your school gets hamstrung because they've got to pay. The thing about Kansas is paying buyouts on top of buyouts to coaches over the years.
Stupid contracts.
They pay more people to not coach there than they do to have people coach.
Well, that's what they need to eliminate somehow, is the buyout. Mm-hmm. That's as much a part of the that's a big part of the problem is the buyout and all that. But no, I mean the coaches' salaries just kept going up and up and up, and nothing changed for the athlete. And the moment the athlete wants to get a little compensation, it's like, whoa, that's the amateur model you're starting to affect. Oh, I'm sorry. I just saw Nick Saban sign 3 more years, and he's still got 5 more left anyways, but now he's making $10 million a year. And I understand that he brings more than the backup linebacker does, but, your argument that, well, we can't swing that, we can't afford that, is all moot when you're putting red-colored waterfalls in your locker room to impress recruits. That was the other thing that got out of hand, was all this facility spending. Teams had brand new facilities, and because they just needed to keep adding and adding and adding and attracting, it's like, all right, we got this brand new field house, but we need more. Team-colored waterfall. All right, we got this brand new, what do we do? Barber shop. Now every field house has a barber shop. Baylor's got a barber shop, I believe. They did when Rule was here. I don't know if it's still there. But now everybody's got barber shops. And it's like, okay, now everybody's got the snack lounge, and it's just and so now you're millions and millions and millions are going to facilities to attract recruits, but then, well, how about you pay the we can't do that. It just never made sense. It's like money's flowing, and you're sitting there every time somebody goes, well, what about the player? Oh, we can't. You just bought a $2 million gold-plated car to sit in front of the facility. How about $300 for your third-string wide receiver? I can't do that. It never made sense. And it was an argument that was going to run out of fuel eventually, and now it has. And, Alabama's not short on money, so they can do things like that with Nick Saban. But there's going to be a lot of other programs like that. That, to me, might be the most interesting thing, is how much more separation is created as a result of name, image, likeness. Because we know Bama and Texas and Clemson and all these same schools are going to be right there at the very top and spending money and probably giving money to athletes and all that. But what kind of an effect does it have on, schools that can't do that? And we've already seen that separation grow, but now it's just, in my mind, going to grow even more immensely. The NCAA shuffled their feet on name, image, likeness, shuffled their feet on everything under the sun. Are they going to keep shuffling their feet as far as this ever-widening gap between their college athletics levels? I don't think they have any plans to. They certainly don't seem to, so that seems like it's just going to grow, and it's going to create an even more different-looking college athletics pyramid.
Okay, think about Arkansas. What's Arkansas been really good in a
baseball?
Yeah, but I mean it's a non-revenue sport, right? So, but like football,
I don't know. I think they probably made money looking at that crowd last night.
but overall, it's a non-revenue sport. Football has been in the SEC all this time, and they have 2 good years to really talk about, and they haven't won a title.
But they got lots of money.
So the model isn't set up right now for schools who are not winning national titles, other than the fact that individual people get fired and the alumni are mad to really change the structure of the system. You just have to find a way to wait for somebody else to fall out and you replace them. That's a movie called The Clemson. Right. Like Clemson, started putting resources in, and then as soon as, someone fell out, they jumped into that spot, and that's where they are now. And you just hope that you don't fall out so somebody doesn't jump up in your place and become that school that's doing that. Clemson is not like, historically, Clemson is not a name like Alabama and Ohio State and Oklahoma. That they're Johnny come lately. They're doing great right now. I mean, they had some good history in the 80s, but even then, they didn't have prolonged success like Alabama did under Bear Bryant, or Ohio State did under Woody Hayes, or Oklahoma did under Switzer or Wilkinson or whoever. But they just waited. They just did the thing at the right time. So now everybody's just trying to be the next Clemson. Like, somebody's going to fall out. Maybe eventually things are going to go awry. I hope I can jump back in there.
Yeah, I don't know I don't know how you can really make Clemson's always been relevant. They just, weren't in the SEC or, weren't maybe Florida State or Miami there in the ACC for a while. But, yeah, whatever they did, folks should probably follow, finding
they were always good, but they were never, great. I mean, the other programs, that the other 4 right now that are good, they've had
I know, so what are you saying, though, about them?
So, Clemson was good. They were just kind of sitting there, always good, always pretty good. They fired a coach here and there, that they didn't have a whole lot of turnover, but they could never really bust through, And then,
right.
So now you got to wait for now they're elite. Now they're spending the money. They're doing all this. They've got the taste of that winning. It's not going to stop for them. The people are going to spend it forever. Alabama, Oklahoma, and Ohio State, the other 3 of the 4 best teams in the country, they've been historically good, of national championship good, for a long, long time. Different
right.
period. Clemson doesn't really have that same history. They just have the history of being, good. I'm not saying I'm not saying they're like Middle Tennessee State.
Right. So what are you saying is why does that matter? In what way does it matter?
So what I'm saying is what you were saying about, the inequity between teams. Arkansas essentially has to wait for someone to fall out.
Gotcha.
For them to jump in that spot if they got there. Because now, the inequity just keeps growing between the balance of power.
But I don't think it's growing between Clemson and Alabama versus the Arkansas. It's versus the Coastal Carolinas and the UTSAs. Okay. And so I think Arkansas, they're going to spend and spend and spend. Just those schools, they just have to do they have no choice but to keep up by spending and just hope that one day you break through with a great football team or something, which is what they're hoping for. Or you spend and spend and spend and you just never catch up. It's just kind of a never-ending race. Or you have the third option, and you could go be Hartford and decide, hey, we're not really made out for this game. We're going to go drop down a level where it's more of our pricing level. And now Arkansas is never going to do that. But no, I just saw somebody wrote an article today. I don't even know, just randomly saw it about, this is why Arkansas should join the Big 12. And it's the first 10 comments are but the money's better. And that, that's ultimately what it comes down to is the money. They're not going to leave the SEC. Even if they can win 5 Big 12 titles in a row, they're not leaving the SEC to go do that and make the playoff every year because they'd be making $15 less million a year. You know?
And the thing is that if the Big 12 could drum it up, then couldn't the SEC just go okay, well, it's never going to change.
The Big 12 has any grand plans.
No, but exactly. Yeah. It's not. Everybody wants the Big 12 to expand except the Big 12.
That conversation's been pretty dead now for going on a while.
Yeah, everyone wants it to expand except the Big 12. Every single one of them. All right. It's that time.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55.
Brought to you by Slapsticks Comedy Club, a Friday night at Rogue Media of an improv show. Slapstickscomedy.com to buy your tickets. These are top 5 things I cannot find the strength to care about. I read stories about them all the time. I just don't know why I should care. Craig, if you can help me out or if you agree, please chime in.
I'm the guy that people tell me all the time, like, why don't you care about this? I'm like, I care about things that matter.
Yeah.
Like, I care about things that I actually care about, you know?
Maybe help reinforce some of this. Number 5, what apparel company someone's with. Don't care.
No, you know, when I was younger, this might have been a big deal, like King Griffey Jr. signing with Nike, that kind of a deal. I remember being somewhat interested when I was younger in, like, some of the NBA draft prospects and where they would sign. The last player I ever really remember caring anything about as far as signing an apparel deal was, like, Adrian Peterson, and that was 16 years ago. So, no, I could care less where anybody signs. And they all signed to Nike pretty much anyways, except for Kawhi Leonard, who's got to be different and sign with New Balance. But outside of that, they're all under the same umbrella for the most part.
Yeah. Number 4, contract disputes.
I'll disagree slightly.
Okay.
I mean, there can be some interest here. Like, I do think the Aaron Rodgers stuff is interesting. Like, I mean, I don't think you can read all of the back and forth. Now, like, if it was all just paper talk, it was just newspaper guy writing article after article about this disagreement, then I wouldn't give 2 S's. But the fact that, you know, Aaron Rodgers has thrown gasoline on this thing and others have thrown gasoline on this thing, it actually makes it kind of interesting because there's actually, you know, figures involved. But not every contract dispute is like that.
Here's the thing. Most of the time, Aaron Rodgers probably notwithstanding, Jack, most of the time, it's going to get worked out or it's not. And then a player's going to leave and then you deal with it. It's sports. They're always going to leave.
The Aaron Rodgers thing is only interesting because there's drama on top of the contract, like number dispute.
Yeah.
Like when there's a dispute between just like actual numbers, who cares?
Yeah, I couldn't care. How much money are you going to make that I'm not making? Oh, great, cool. I don't care. I don't care about how you're going to make $40 million in the next 2 years. That does nothing for me. But, when you have drama that could see him maybe leave Green Bay, that's interesting.
Yeah. Number 3, the NCAA's thoughts on anything.
Couldn't care less.
Could not. I just don't care. Like, I don't care. I want to know. I'm more interested in what the individual institutions really think about things.
It's actually useful. That way you know what not to do and what's wrong.
Yeah. But I'm more interested in the NCAA, like in the member institutions' individual responses. Like, I'd like to have an election. Just vote on how you feel about these things, and then it's open. Like, we know, like, you know, Baylor's for this and they're against this. Texas is for this and against this. So that way we know where we actually stand.
Yeah,
I just would like to know. I'm more interested in that, and I like how those things affect those individual schools is more than Mark Emmert being a lobbyist. All right, number 2. What an athlete did on TikTok. I'm never going to download TikTok. Stop asking me. I don't understand what TikTok is. I'm 41.
I think it's probably an age thing, you know, for your younger folks out there. TikTok's, you know, what you're probably seeing them stare at their phones most of the time. It's not for me. I've just missed that probably by a few years of being infatuated with it, although I know there are plenty of older people that love TikTok as well. It's not like it's exclusively a young thing, but for me, there's too many fads online. Like now it's TikTok. Before that, it was Vine. Before, you know, it's always something different. And like, I feel I could delete 2 social media apps, and then like 5 months later, I've got people telling me like, you got to have this and this and this, and it's just a alternative to the thing that was before that was you know what I mean? It's just like it's like never ending.
Like, you know, Instagram is Facebook that you
like, dude. I'll tell you, a friend of mine,
less stuff on.
A friend of mine,
less, you know,
I was talking to her. It started out as you know, I think like we knew each other but didn't really know each other. So like slid into the DMs, well, never like that. But like that's how we got to like talk kind of, which led to texting, right? But then next thing I know, I needed to download Snapchat. I needed to have Instagram messages. I had like Twitter DMs, and I'm like, why can't we just have one form of, or one or two? But like 1 minute I'm answering a text, and then like 2 hours later I'm responding to a Snapchat from the same person, and then like 2 hours after that my Instagram DMs. You know what I'm saying? It's just like it's weird. It's hard to keep up with.
You know what's great? Here's the thing. You used
just text me. Just text me.
You used to have to call someone on the phone that sat in their house and leave a message. Or you had to send them a letter. That was the ways we communicated.
I don't want to go back to that.
I
mean, I like having options.
Can we get somewhere in the middle of those 2 things and what Craig just described?
Yeah, but I mean, TikTok is plenty popular. You know, there's it's part of the reason why we're talking about the Paul brothers being in boxing is pretty much the same type of thing.
And that's a great segue, Craig.
Yeah.
Number 1, Logan Paul. I can't.
But you do care about Jake?
I don't like. Yes, yeah, I forgot about Jake. I don't know. I just did the Paul brothers.
Less, obviously.
Yeah, I don't know. I did the Paul brothers, Logan Paul. Good for you that you found a way to make money on this and the hustle and all that stuff. And it's not easy to get in shape enough to last 8 rounds with even 50-year-old Floyd Mayweather. I get good on you.
I think it's worth it depending on how much you made.
But I mean, I know it's hard. I get all that stuff is hard. I'm giving him credit on that. But I don't know, man.
I don't care about him as a person. I do respect that. I mean, he's in incredible shape. He's obviously taking this very seriously. I don't respect the way that they're just fooling dumb fans out there who are, again, just can't help but pony up $70 for, a sideshow act that doesn't even have an official winner. I think just they're taking advantage of people's stupidity and desire for just some type of entertainment. But I also understand why some people were intrigued by it. There are actually some people who believe that he's going to, keep doing this. But I do ultimately, I will get very tired of hearing about him if he keeps fighting guys who are 50 pounds and 7 inches shorter than him. I want to see him sooner rather than later, if I'm supposed to keep caring about this guy, which I really don't, but I don't hate the guy. But if I'm going to keep caring and not turn into hating this guy, put him in there with a Klitschko brother or somebody who's actually a real boxer that's his size and not Floyd, who's past his prime, 40 plus, 70 pounds. You know what I'm saying? That was all just a money grab last night, man. A lot of people gave it right over, and I was not one of those, and I never will be.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's the Top 5 at 5, brought to you by Slapsticks. Thanks to everybody who's been a part of the show today. National Championship coach Mitch Thompson of MCC, Grayson Grundhafer, Chuck Cooperstein, Buck Reiser, and Tony Greene, Craig Smoak, Armstrong Sims, Hayden Bumpus, Jack McKenzie. This is SicEm365 Radio. We're back at 3 tomorrow, everybody.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has been proudly serving Texans across the state for over 60 years. Call 254-772-8090 to find an agent who will provide a free review of your auto, home, and life coverage.